What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome to Cafe LeBlanc podcast number 17. I want to welcome our guest here, Mr. Nam. How are you doing today, man?
Doing well. I woke up just a couple of hours ago.
Hell yeah.
I say I was running late, and I made sure to get up before this started.
Nice, nice, nice. And David is still missing in action at the moment, so we'll just skip over his introduction. And we also have Mr. King Narukami 45. How's it going, my man?
I'm good, Kiro, and I get interested now. What time zone do you live in? Because it's 7 o'clock EST, bruh. You just woke up a couple of hours ago. Yeah, it's Pacific time, so it's 4 for me right now. And I'll be honest with you, I don't get up till like 3.
My
I go to bed
man.
at like 6 in the morning, and I wake up at 3.
I'm like, I go to bed at like 4 in the morning, wake up at 5. Like, I sleep for like 1 hour. Yeah, today, I streamed like last night. You notice how I said today because I'm like, I'm still thinking of like yesterday as today. And then I went to sleep and my girlfriend had to go to work at 5 in the morning, so I woke up at 5, and then I woke up, and I was like, somewhere in between yesterday and today, I passed out, and then she called me like 5 times, and I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I just passed out at some point. I can't even, I don't know. My sleeping schedule is like super messed up. So yeah, today we're speaking of messed up. Today we're going to be talking about Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster. Oh man, that was a smooth transition. So yeah, so speaking of the game, I do have, and I mentioned this on my review, I do have a long history with the game. It was like my first Megami Tensei game, like even before Persona, even before I heard of Persona. I actually got into it because of, I know a lot of people joke of the Dante, featuring Dante from Devil May Cry, but I was a huge I'm still a huge fan of the Devil May Cry games, and looking on YouTube, I saw a playthrough, like a snippet of Shin Megami Tensei 3 when they had the Dante fight, the first fight or whatever. I was like crazy. I was like, I gotta get that game, and I looked over all over the place where I used to live, and I could never find it. I could never find a copy of it. It was so niche at the time that it was really freaking hard to find a copy of it unless you were willing to like import it, or the internet wasn't like as accessible as it is right now. To just go into Amazon and buy a copy or something. Even I had to even ask my mom permission to like use eBay or something. So I waited a long time to actually play Nocturne. It was a minute now, and I do want to introduce David. How are you doing, man?
Hey, what's up? How are you guys doing? I'm doing great, thank you. Sorry for being a bit late here.
Oh
Getting
no.
some today.
You're good, man. I'm glad you're doing good. I'm glad you're here. We're talking about history with the games. You know how you kind of got into Megami Tensei or Nocturne. So yeah, David, what about you? How did you hear about Nocturne?
Actually, that was right after I played 4, so didn't play it back in the day. I played it in like late 2014, beginning of 20, no, late 2013, beginning of 2014. So randomly fell upon a copy of SMT 4 at my local game store. Fell in love, obviously, and then I jumped into Nocturne right after it. So right after I was done with it, so it's a good.
Yeah, for sure. That's actually pretty interesting that you mentioned that. Um, because how is that going back behind? How is that going from going from SMT4 to SMT3?
It's been a while, but I think Nocturne aged super well. Like all the games in that generation, whether it's like P3, P4, DDS, DDS2, and Nocturne, I think they all aged pretty well. So when I played it on original hardware, so I bought a PS2 disc. That's the version I played. Loved it. Really loved it. I remember thinking it looked great. That was not a big downgrade because obviously SMT4 is an handheld game,
Hmm.
so there was like 2D battles, all of that. So to see 3D battles and all reminded me of Persona because yes, I did start with Persona 2. So that was great. I remember really loving it back in the day. Then I played it in like 2017, or it took me a while before I replayed it on the PlayStation 3, but didn't put that much time into it. So I was really excited when they first announced it, July 20th last year, because I was about to replay it actually.
Oh,
So
nice, nice.
now I waited for it, and I'm glad I did because I love my experience again.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's I'm glad to hear that you had a pretty interesting transition between the games. So we know, I don't know if you guys know,
Yeah.
but Mr. King Narukami, this is his first experience with the Megami Tensei games. This is his first mainline game. King, is there anything besides that you want to add?
Not really. My history of JRPGs is pretty limited. Of course, Persona I got into in like 2019, like late 2019. Other than that, I've played Yakuza Like a Dragon. By the way, best game of 2020 in my opinion. And
Second,
yep, what
Nice.
second? It's
13
my
Sentinels.
bruh. Well,
Yeah,
we all
second.
well
Close,
we all know.
close second though.
Well, we all know which one sold better.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. But I mean, Like a
Yeah.
Dragon, dude, I won't argue with you. It's a fantastic game. It's like a 9.5.
But
Hell
yes,
yeah.
that's about my history with it. So
Yeah. What about you, Nam? I actually don't know much about your history with the series.
Um. Okay, so I knew about mainline SMT even when I was playing like Persona 4, like 2014. That was my first like experience with it, and I already knew that they were like drastically different. But the reason why Nocturne stood out to me is because when I saw Dante, I thought it was a fan mod. I thought that was fake.
Me too. Honestly, me too. I was like,
That's
because
cool.
because I was such a big fan at the time. I was like, holy shit! Like Dante's in other games, and I was like, that's gotta be some kind of mod or something like that. So it took me a while before I actually figured out that was actually like part of the game. Which back then the whole meme of like featuring Dante from Devil May Cry, like that wasn't really like a meme. Like that wasn't really the thing. Nowadays it's like a big meme, but back then like it really wasn't. So when did you actually play the game originally?
It was around late 2017. It was after I finished P5, and I didn't want to play P1 because it's P1.
Exactly.
Because like at this point, I played 3, 4, 5, and also Innocent Sin. I didn't play Eternal Punishment yet because I only
Alright.
recently just played that, and I wanted to play mainline SMT. So I decided to start with the one that I heard the most about. And because I didn't want to spend money at the time, I tried it out through illegitimate means, and it didn't. And then when it didn't work, I found a copy on Amazon for like $15. And thankfully, I still have my PS2, and I actually have my copy right here. I made sure to leave it on my desk for this video, and I'm now looking at it.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, to this date, I still haven't bought a copy of Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne on PlayStation 2.
Wow.
I the first time I was talking about like I couldn't find a copy of it, of the game like back in the day when I was trying to find it because of YouTube, and eventually I borrowed it from somebody. I was like, "Yo, can I borrow this game?" And then I bought it for $10 in the PS3. So I was like, I was going back and forth between like, oh well, I'm gonna play on the PS3, and everything. So it it's fantastic. Oh, shout out to King Narukami 45 said $5 contribution here with Shin Megami Tensei 5 2022 and Demicro for another Shin Megami Tensei 5 2022. We got this
Wow, would you
2022
look at
boys
that?
here in the chat. Thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate that. There, there it
Dude,
goes.
just want to mention something came up. I gotta go, man. Sorry about that.
That's fine. Go ahead, man. That's fine.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, you're good?
2021,
Oh, okay, okay.
obviously.
I'm sorry, David. I don't know what happened. Someone must have hacked my payment method.
All right, I'm getting
Uh,
bullied everywhere I go. It's cool.
He's like, it's cool, it's cool. For real though. I'm still debating whether I'm 2021 or 2022. I know. We joke a lot about it over here, but I don't know. Like part of me, I still want to be really optimistic about it. Like it's still gonna happen. But yo, we're almost middle of the year, and we haven't heard anything. We haven't seen any gameplay. We haven't seen anything. I'm like, I'm like, that meme where the guy is like sweating a ton,
Yeah.
That's kind of how I am. I'm a 2021 boy, but 2022 is looking real close.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I feel about it. But I mean, like either way, we're still gonna get a good game as long as
Oh yeah.
Atlas delivers a good game, whether it's this year or it gets delayed next year. I'm still like we'll see. Once we get E3 and everything on the summer, we'll definitely see whether it's gonna be this year or next year. So
Yeah.
it's not gonna be that far away from then. So speaking of the game, going back to Shin Megami Tensei 3. So we all got the game. We all played the game already. And before we actually discuss the actual game, which we're not gonna do spoilers in this podcast, but I still want to discuss like the game and impressions and everything. But before we even go into that, I kind of want to address two things. One is nostalgia and actually like playing the game in 2021, and the other one is Nocturne a good port or like a good remaster? Like you
All
guys
right.
can answer that question in any order. I don't mind if you want to start, David, since you reply to that.
I actually have
Um.
an interesting way to approach this.
All right, King, go ahead.
So I have an interest. I think Nam played it on PS5, right,
Mhm.
Nam?
I feel like I'm the only one that did play it on PS5. I think all you guys played it on Switch.
No, I played on PS5.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not touching that Switch version.
Exactly what I thought too.
As soon as I saw the options, I was like, PC is gonna have issues. Oh my god, I predicted that. And then the Switch, I was like, I'm not touching that. So I was like,
Listen, it's 2021. Don't people know not to buy PC games at launch?
honestly, man, I know, and this is gonna be shots fired, but you're right, bro. Like I really knew. I was like from the get go, I was like, I
At
really
least-
want to try the PC version, but
At least wait for Atlas PC games. I think
yeah,
that's the thing. Like PC games in general, not really an issue, but like Atlas PC games, they've had like a pretty bad track record where 3 out of 3 games that are ported to PC and they're at launch
Will,
at least.
what do you have so far? Catherine, Persona
Oh,
4
I forgot
Golden.
Catherine.
Oh yeah,
How was
which
Catherine
also
at launch?
oh terrible. It's still not patched.
All right, so
They-
4 out of 4. Catherine was not that great. P4G was not that great. Strikers was not that great, and then we have Nocturne, which is not that great. So
Just want to point out, Catherine Classic, not Catherine Full
Catherine
Body.
Classic, yeah,
Right, yeah. And
What
to
is
this
so
day,
crazy to me?
to this day, they have not patched it. Like it sucks to say it, but it's still running the same way. There's not a single patch on it so far, and because the community is not even there, there's like no mods to like to to fix it either.
I mean,
Which
didn't they drop that port like 2 months before Full Body released on PS4 or something
Yeah,
like
it
that?
was just before. It
right,
was
like
just before.
how
They
to
were
how to
asking
kill
for it to
your
fail,
how's
like,
your
come on.
how you kill your own release.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. That's crazy to me. But yeah, I'll say. So David, go ahead. I'm sorry, King. You were going to say something about the remaster.
Yeah. So for the Switch port, if anyone's seen my review, it's very okay. So it's kind of a mixed bag. Docked, it runs at 1080p. It's mostly dynamic frame rate for what I've seen. I've noticed more and more as I played that moves with like more like lighting and effects to them. Really, you can really see the pixels on the opponents as well. So it looks like it's a little dynamic kind of resolution as well. That's just to me.
Right.
I'm no expert when it
Mhm.
comes to this stuff. The game stutters like hell during combat. Matador is running at 5 frames per second
my-
during his entrance. But if
Oh.
you play handheld, a lot of those issues are fixed. And I think David played it mostly in handheld, right?
I did. My general impression was not that harsh on it. To be honest, I didn't think it was that bad. Like resolution wise, I think it was pretty good. Like it looked all right, docked and on handheld. As you mentioned, the docked version struggles a bit more. Yes, Super Gamer Guy, absolutely. The handheld version runs a bit better. At least the frame rate is way more stable. From what I've seen, handheld Switch version is similar to what you have on PS4. While docked, it's worse. You can definitely tell the difference between the PS4 version and the Switch docked. But handheld, since they dropped the resolution to 720, the frame rate is more stable. But that's still ridiculous. It shouldn't drop on any type of version. So that's the thing. Like I wanna say it's not that bad, but at the same time, it's an HD PS2 game, so it is
And
pretty bad still. So
to add on to that, it's an HD PS2 game that had
exactly.
no problems running on the PS2.
That's my thing. Like in my review, I always felt kind of mixed because I wanted to say that I loved it and that the performance is not as bad as people say. And it's not necessarily wrong to say that, but at the same time, there's no reason for a PS2 game to run that way on those systems.
Yeah,
So I always.
especially sorry about that. Especially because the game, the port is $50.
Hmm.
So like that's to
The
me
price is another thing. Yeah.
that's the one thing, and it's not like, guys, I get it. There are some that Nintendo, for example, is bad about this. They will charge you full price for ports. I mean, they're doing it right now. So I to me, like, the price isn't like the biggest thing, but when you go and pay $50, $60 price, you're really hoping that the game at least runs how the way that it's supposed to run. I'm not saying anything like, you're definitely, it's debatable whether you agree with the $50 price or not, but at least you will hope that the game will run at full capacity. Like everything that is supposed to run, and it's not like we're asking for crazy stuff. I mean, 1080p 30 FPS. That's like last gen. That's not even like. That's not even like asking the
Nah,
PS5 to run at 4K 60 FPS or
it's
something
not
like that.
even last gen. It's PS3 360 days.
Exactly, exactly. We're not asking crazy stuff. I don't, and I feel like that's where some people kind of get offensive. I'm like, well, look, we're not asking for crazy stuff, and that's the other thing that bothers me, which I'm gonna hit into the next point, which comes to PC mods and patches, because I sometimes somebody brought this up a bit ago. Look, I feel really strong about. I said that the PS5 or the PS4 version was the best version, and I mean that because if a game needs to be patched or I'm sorry, modded on PC, then there's an issue. Like,
Hmm.
to fix things. One or two things that I kind of have issues on is, when it comes to the mods, is one, people talk about the uncompressed audio. Uh, I'm gonna be honest here. The uncompressed audio is literally the least out of all the issues on like the remaster or anything like that. I know some people feel strongly about it. I'm using quotations here, you can see my camera, but it doesn't matter. Like when you watch anything, like what is like the in YouTube videos or Netflix or Spotify, anything like that, all the audio you're hearing is compressed. Everything. MP3, the format is compressed audio. So like when people are saying like, oh, the audio is running compressed, I'm like, you never listen to the songs uncompressed. So like, I'm sorry, like I have to go on a rant about it, but like, the fact that people complain about compressed audio, but yet they listen to music on their iPod or like their phone on YouTube, that's compressed audio. I'm sorry to tell you that, but like, you're not. It's like it's not actually a big deal. I'm not defending the game or anything like that. The game shouldn't have compressed audio, but again,
Hmm.
it is not a real issue. Like most of the things that you hear or listen to is compressed audio. By the way, audio files, like people that focus on audio, are still debating whether compressed audio or uncompressed audio is. No, MP3 is compressed audio. MP3 is is a compressed format. That's the reason why it went um, famous back in
will
the.
say, I will say, I am an audiophile, Kiro. I'm a big fan of. I have a record player. I have vinyls. I love hearing. Records are pretty much like the best way to hear music, and I understand to an extent. I mean, but when I put music on my phone, I typically do it in the highest quality possible.
Mhm.
So it bothers me in that. Yeah, I mean, the original PS2 game had that really compressed audio. They
Mhm.
just brought it forward. I understand that. But the fact that they couldn't just get a soundtrack of their own game that has already released in the wild, you can buy it on
Exactly. Yeah.
Amazon right
Exactly.
now.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And again, I'm not defending the compression of it. I'm just saying most of the audio that you listen nowadays is compressed anyway. Like, somebody Rosa saying MP3 is not compressed. It is compressed. In fact,
Yes,
MP3
yes.
wasn't an audio file until much later. MP3 used to be a compression file overall. Like it was only used as an audio file because of the actual invention of the MP3 player. And again, I'm not defending the audio, but by the way, I'm not saying that the audio is good or anything like that. So the audio is wonky as hell, which I actually complain about this on my review. The fact that the voice is as loud as the music is it bothers the living shit out of me. Like somebody they'll be like talking or something, and the audio is like so loud, or like on battle, the audio is as loud as the different pressing,
Sound effect.
like the buttons, or like
Yeah.
the sounds and everything.
Well,
That's
at least
that's
you can adjust all of that, though.
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
adjust all of it, and
You're
that's
right.
pretty.
Yeah, you're right, and that shouldn't be but this not really a big issue. The big issue is the fact that they didn't master that from the get go. Like you shouldn't leave it. You shouldn't need to leave the player to have to go on pinnacle with all the different volumes and everything, so people can get just the right mixing. The mixing should be good from the get go. So yeah, it's not like a game breaking thing, and that's the whole thing. That
Right.
that's why I felt so conflicted on my review about it. I'm like, look, none of these issues, whether it's like the bugs or there's this flickering that happens on any console or
Yes.
the
Yeah, I
PC.
saw that.
I
I thought
even
it was just going insane.
Yeah, there's this flickering that happens, and it's every once in a while. You're like, am I going crazy? I just saw it like flicker for like 2 seconds. So
I
like,
thought it was my HDMI cable like dying on me. It goes black for like a split second.
exactly, and it's not a big deal. It's not breaking the game. It's nothing that you're gonna say like, oh man, like it's really fucking up my experience. But it's like this little thing, and when you start adding up all these little things together, you're kind of like, this is a pretty shit remaster. Like, I'm sorry, like it's not like super well made. Some of the bugs. I mean, this game has been out for a whole year in Japan at this point. Well, not a whole year. I'm exaggerating. What, like 7 8
October.
months at this point, October, so that's 10, 1 2 7 months. It's been out for 7 months at this point. So the fact that um Atlas in Japan has only dropped two updates, if I recall correctly, and one here in the States so far, it's kind of like it starts to make you kind of thinking like, I mean, there's absolutely no way they're gonna fix all of this. At least in my mind, I'm like, I don't think they're really gonna really work into really fixing everything. Again, the game is playable, and I tell this to everybody that asks me, "What's the best version?" I mean, that's up to debate. But in reality, like the game, you can play it from beginning to end. At least on PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4 or Switch, it's not gonna die on you. Like it's not gonna crash. It's not gonna have
Oh,
like big
one question. I just
issues.
want to ask you guys while we're at it. The game crashed on me once.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah, never had this issue with the Japanese version of the game, which I played for a couple of hours. But the English version, it crashed on me once. It just closed for no reason.
Oh, I
I
actually.
haven't had that happen.
It
I haven't.
happened to you?
No, I haven't.
No,
But what
okay.
section of
Oh,
the
okay.
game was that?
That was at the beginning. That was right after
Okay, okay.
Phonius or something.
Now there is a thing that I heard from a lot of my viewers because I did a video on it, and it's pretty mixed on like the PC performance. Some people have told me they haven't had any crashes, but I had many people like message me or like comment on my video and be like, "Yeah, I've been playing for 3 hours and then it just suddenly crashed" or something like that. And it's not just crashing the game; it's like crashing your entire computer.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's crazy. Like I don't know, like, and I'm tired of these comments, like, because I get them all the time too. They're like, well, I'm not experiencing any problems. It must be a compatibility thing, like your computer. I'm like, it's really not. Like if you buying games from Steam, Steam tells you the requirements there. I don't think that people are just stupid enough to just buy games. But then again, this is a PlayStation 2 game.
Listen,
Like-
you know what other PS2 game? I'll actually shut up and let Nom talk, so because he hasn't talked in a little
Yeah,
bit.
I
go
was
ahead.
just about to say, like, part of something I said in my review that just went up was that while I personally didn't have any issues with the frame rate or like that kind of stuff, it's still something you gotta acknowledge, because if it's happening to a sizable portion, it's still like an issue, regardless of whether or not you experience that issue.
Right, exactly, and that's kind of why I made a separate video talking about the performance issues on PC. It's not like, oh well, I want to know how many people are actually experiencing. Somebody commented that. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter whether it's one person or 50 people or a million people. Like if you're paying $50 for the game, you expect the game to run like it's supposed to because you're paying full price for the game. You're paying $50 for the game. As well 60 actually, because everybody that is playing it right now paid $60 for the deluxe edition. So we're not even talking about $50 here. So personally, I say if you're a fan of the game, get it, but be aware there are some issues. But as far as PlayStation 4 and Switch, you are still able to play the game. Again, I never experienced. I finished the game on hard mode and I started it again twice, and I haven't had issues to the where like I'm like having like crashes or anything like that. But then again, I'm playing on PS5 and I don't have any issues at all. Any of you guys had anything like David?
I didn't have any. That's the only issue that I had. It crashed on me once. Like other than that, it was all right.
What about you, King? You were gonna say something.
I mean, I was gonna say, are you talking about like problems we've had? Because other than like frame rate and stuff, that's the
Mhm.
only thing I've had.
Right, right. That's pretty much what I was asking. If you had anything else besides that. But yeah, overall, like I am not mad. Like I know I'm a little frustrated. I'm just thinking about it because in my mind, I'm like, I really just don't understand why Atlas just doesn't handle 100% of their ports and remakes. Like I get it from like a standpoint of like the money of things, like I get it, like they probably don't have the money and resources and studios to have like, okay, you are gonna work on ports, you're gonna actually make Shin Megami Tensei 5, and you're gonna make Persona whatever they're making. Like, I get it, they don't have enough teams to kind of handle all this stuff, but if they're really looking, because looking at the reports, they are looking into making a ton of these. So I'm really hoping that they start like handling them, or at least have like quality control when it comes to the release and releasing them.
I mean, quality control should have been all over this game from the get go, but
Right, exactly, exactly. But now it kind of just like it's like almost like a monkey paw. Like, man, I really wish I had my PlayStation, like a Nocturne on PS5 or PS4. Yeah, but you get issues with it or whatever. So I don't know. It gets me concerned, but also I'm hoping that they look into that and actually legitimately fix it. But we'll see. That's why. That's kind of why I'm saying it. When I see like mods fixing it and people are championing the mods. I like somebody commented earlier like, oh, they're already fixing the audio. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the thing. Like Atlas sees that you're fixing that, they're not gonna do anything about it. They're not gonna patch that. It's like, why would we fix it? Somebody already did it for us for free.
I
You
have
know?
a question for you guys
Yeah.
in that regard. Do we think it's gonna get patched? Because I sure don't.
No,
I don't
I
think
don't.
it's gonna get
fuck
patched.
no, fuck no.
I
It's,
don't.
it's too late. Nah,
Atlas
it was
hates patching their games.
when they patched skill inheritance in. I was like, all right, that's it. They're not touching it anymore. That was the last thing that they were gonna do.
Yeah, definitely. And I know we're dunking on the part of it, like on the ports of it, but I really wanted to talk about this before we actually talk about our actual opinion on the game itself. I'm not saying the game is bad by any stretch of the imagination. It is my favorite Shin Megami Tensei game, but I'm actually a little frustrated as far as like what's being done to it so far, and I'm really hoping that Atlas to some kind of extension of what they're doing. I hope that they look forward to new releases and they actually do work on them and they go, better. That's
Well,
pretty
Kiro,
much my.
Kiro, when you say it's not a bad game, I think we're just talking about it's a bad remaster because the
Right.
game is there. The
Exactly,
game
and
is still there.
exactly, and that's why I started with the question: is this a good port? Or is this a good remaster? We are talking about the remaster itself, not about the game as a whole. Like, yeah, I love the game. It's a really good game. But we're talking about like the remaster itself. Yeah, there are some issues with it, and Whether you're a shill or whether you love the game overall, you can still acknowledge there's some issues with the game. Like whether it's on PC or Switch or even the PS4 or the PS5. Like I was talking, I played on PS5. I thought that flickering thing, it freaked me out the first time. I was like, "There's something wrong with my TV. It keeps flickering," and I was worried about that. I like turn off my computer. I'm sorry, I turn off my screen, unplug the HDMI cable, change the HDMI cable. I was like, why does it keep flickering? It was a legitimate concern for me. Obviously, it's not a big deal. Like again, it doesn't crash the game or anything, but it's just there. It's just a little thing. So where are?
Hero,
Yeah, go ahead.
Hero, if you don't mind me asking you guys, because I don't think this point has really been brought up before. All three of you have played Nocturne before.
Yeah.
I obviously haven't. So, if you ever want to go back and play Nocturne again, will you use this HD remaster, or would you rather dust off your PS2 version because it runs better?
Nah, that's my definitive version of the game easily.
Which one?
For the sake of not having to plug in a PS3 and all that, play a digital copy or whatever, I'd personally stick with the remaster, but I'm not gonna say that it was totally worth the price of $50, like at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, like I feel like I'm in the same camp where I'm like, yeah, well, whether I want to play the PlayStation 2 version or the PS3 version, which is $10, or is it $10 or $20? What is it?
It's 10.
It's $10. Yeah, like I'm like going through the whole motions of like trying to like plug it in and get it all in the living room, and I need to find my controller and everything, and just pop it into the PS5 and play it. But yeah, I mean, like I don't know. I'm not. I don't really replay games. Once I play it, I'm kind of like I'm done with it. I move on and everything. I'm not really a person that really replays games often. In all honesty, there. But that's neither here or there in the conversation. But yeah. I will just pick it up because it's easier. It's a convenience thing, and I mentioned this in my review as well. There's a convenience factor to this remake that even in all the circumstances, even if all the issues, people are likely to buy it because one, they never played it before. Two, it's on the PS4, it's on the Switch. You want to play it on the go. It's on the PC. It's just so much easier to play nowadays. Than having to find a copy on the PlayStation 2, buying a
I
PS3,
mean, it's almost like making your games easily accessible creates money.
right? Who would have thought? Like there's like, I guess there's like a genius aspect to that, right? Nobody would have thought that would have worked, right? So any final comments? Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I need to address a comment that we just got in the stream directed towards me. Heather Collins said that they just pre-ordered the Switch version. I'm so sorry to hear that, and I will pour one out for you later tonight.
I've already drank one for Heather.
Yeah, hey, Heather, we're over here hammering hard in the.
If you play the Switch version, play it exclusively undocked. That's all I will say.
Oh my god.
I mean, yeah, I think you guys are being a bit too harsh here. It's not that bad. Like, it's not a
No, here's
problem.
the thing.
Bro.
David's like,
Narukami was a real bro, and he lent me some footage of the Switch version for my video. And I just asked for one part of the game because I knew in the back of my mind it's gonna run bad. And it was the Amala Network part. And, oh my god, it was so bad.
Told you.
Which
And
part
he
was
also
it?
showed me it was just the Amala Network, just like going through it like as a dungeon.
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, there's one thing that I want to address as well. Sorry, Nam. All the pre-rendered cutscenes are still on original. And is in the original squared. What would you call that? The
4:3 aspect ratio.
yeah, and then it's still on like it's not on HD. That they
Yeah,
just
standard definition videos.
and
but, like-
it's so jarring, especially at the beginning cutscene. I was like, "What is going on? Why is it doing this?" And then realized that it was still the standard. And I was like, "Why? What? This is not even a real HD remaster."
Yeah,
But yeah,
the other thing that Narukami showed me was the Matador stuff, where it actually drops to single digits. Like it is kind of like shocking that this was kind of released in the state that it was. But it's stuff like that, and the 4:3 aspect ratio. It doesn't really bother me because I understand if they don't have those files anymore. If they're old, it would be a lot harder to keep those around than the music, which like a bunch of YouTube uploaders also have.
Right.
It's stuff like that and then you look at games from the PS3 era that were remastered, and it's the exact same thing as like something out of the PS3 era. Like Jack and Daxter, like the HD collection for that game, that was like 3 games for whatever amount of price. And Nocturne feels exactly like it's out of that era.
Look at God of War from the PS3 remaster of the God of War 1 and 2 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exact same thing.
And I see that, and it feels like this was. It honestly feels like this was planned for the PS3, but they just forgot about it.
I kind of agree.
You know
honestly.
what? I
we
can see
did
that.
get a PS3 port, but I mean, it's just like so. David says we shouldn't dunk on the Switch version, but I know David mostly played handheld. What would you say the percentage of the game you played in handheld versus dock, David?
60 maybe. I still had to record a lot of footage, so yeah, probably like 60% of my playthrough was handheld.
Oh, okay. That's actually not that bad.
No, it's
Honestly,
not bad.
like I know we're dunking on it, and I don't want to feel like I don't want to come across as a hater because obviously we love the game and
I
everything.
think I should clarify that I don't hate the game. I don't hate this port. It just has a lot of issues, and I think that if it was a lower price, it would be a lot more excusable.
It's a
Right,
fantastic
right.
game.
Mhm.
I love it, even with all these technical issues. So there was a HD remaster of one of my favorite games of all time, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, that was put on the PS4 and Switch this past year. And the Switch version also ran like trash. It was poorly optimized. I don't know what it is with these PS2 remasters running bad on Switch. It seems to be a going trend, but I still loved the game. So that doesn't take away from my experience.
Yeah.
It's just that these issues need to be addressed, and they won't.
Yeah. Alrighty. So I think we're gonna go ahead and move on from ports. I think we pretty much hammered the thing here. David asked a question that I already had as far as do you think whether we're gonna get a patch that actually is gonna fix all these issues? The answer is probably not. But there's probably gonna be one more patch. For PC, I'm predicting that if the outrage or the issue is big enough, they will have to patch it like they did with P5S. It all depends on whether people are
No.
asking for a refund. A lot of people did, and they ended up having to patch it. So that's Persona 5 Strikers, though. Persona 5 Strikers was their best-selling spin-off game. So I don't know if they're going to do this for Nocturne. I'm cracking up about it, but we'll see that. Okay. I'm not hoping. I'm not holding any hope out there, but I hope that maybe someday they do better remasters. So as far as talking into, unless you guys have anything else, we want to move on from that. Do you guys have any final thoughts on the port remaster issue?
Well, I'm just gonna mention one thing since I'm pretty much alone here with the performance of the Switch version. I just want to say disclaimer: I've never been, and I'm not a big performance guy. Like, I'm honestly can't tell the difference between 30 frames and 60 frames on certain games. So yes, I'm really that bad with this whole thing. So maybe it's actually terrible, but when I look at it, I think it's perfectly fine, and I'm having a blast with
I
it.
mean, that's fine. I'm
No.
not trying to dunk on you, David.
No, I know. I just wanted to make that clear because I know I'm not a reference. Because when I play, like, for example, I'll say God of War, the latest one. That's one game that I'm having a hard. I can tell the difference, but some people are saying it's way better. Nah, I don't think it's that much better now that it's 60. It's like I can see the difference,
Right.
but it's not that much. I'm not a reference. That's
By
just
the
what
way,
wanted
I do want to mention that one final thing. That thanks so much for reminding me about the frame rate, guys. I'll be and you guys can all 20 people can fight me on this, but there's no way that people are gonna be able to patch at 60 FPS because this game was made at 30 FPS. The AI right now that runs to go to 60 FPS doubles the frame rate. It doesn't create in between animations for this thing. So it's gonna look like 60, but it's actually doubling. It's at 30 twice. So anybody that is anybody that is thinking that some modder is gonna just create 60 f per an hour is a lie. So I don't want anybody to hope that modders are just magically gonna create 60 FPS. It is gonna say 60 FPS, but what it is an AI creating double animations to match a 60 FPS, but it's not a true FPS. It's just an AI changing that. So unless Atlas actually goes and recreates every single animation and creates the actual things in between the frame rates, there's no way you're gonna get a true 60 FPS. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I understand frame rate.
I heard that before. I don't
Well,
know anything about that, but I think that makes sense. I
What's
think they can
probably gonna
uncap it, but they cannot make it like stable 60 themselves. I think that's
yeah,
the
I mean, like, there's just the way animations work. It's just not the 60. There's no frame additional frames. Like when somebody makes an animation, anybody, whether it's you or anybody that does anything frame rate related, there is a frame for every single thing. So 30 FPS meaning every single frame in everything that happens. So if there is no additional frame rates, the AI or whoever does the additional uncapped or whatever, all it's doing is copying the same animation that is already going to kind of match the 60, but there is no true 60 FPS unless it's actually created by whoever did the animations. And
Now, Persona 5 Royal is different. They could totally switch that to 60.
yeah, because it was made like that. The game was made to run at 60 FPS. There is those frame rates are there. So I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal. I don't understand why anybody wants to play a turn-based RPG at 60 FPS.
I do. I do. Fuck you, Kiro. You know what? I'm gonna go on a rant here for a second. Y'all ready for this shit? You
nah.
ready for
Fuck
this
off.
shit?
I'm
Go
with you,
for it,
girl.
bro. Go for it,
Fuck
man.
you, David. Go to hell, bro. You and your 2021 loving licking ass.
It's a PS2 RPG. Shut the fuck up, dude.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
I don't know.
I wish it was stable 30, but we don't care about 60 for that type of game. Come on.
The thing is, I am pretty sure that Nocturne was made at a time when in-game logic was tied to frame rate. That includes like how fast the game runs itself.
Right.
It's the reason why something like San Andreas or Final Fantasy X, those games still run at 30 FPS despite their ports and all that.
Right.
So-
Exactly.
If they were uncapped, the game would actually just run faster. Like it wouldn't it wouldn't make the animation smoother. The game itself, the game speed would like double, and it would fuck up like a whole bunch of other shit like clocks, like in-game timers and all that.
Right. Exactly. If the animation doesn't exist, there is just no way for it to do the 60 FPS what a lot of people want. It's just not there. It's not real. I'm sure AI. There are some AIs that are pretty cool and they are able to like do some crazy stuff. But one, this is a fucking niche game, and two,
Yeah.
I don't think either Atlas or modders are gonna have the time of the day to rework the animations to like do it right. I'm sure some crazy guy out there gonna be like, "Oh, Kuro said this. I better fucking work every single animation in the game into 60 FPS. Watch it be somebody's gonna do it." But but
You're just giving them the motivation they need.
but
You and David can both lick my ass. I want 60 FPS on my turn-based RPGs.
all right, no. That's not to say like I would love to see Persona 6 or Shin Megami Tensei 5 running at 60 FPS. They gotta, but I mean probably not on Switch to be honest. But
I'd love to see the games in general.
yeah, exactly. But in general, like we have reached the new generation. Like we should definitely look at new games and be like, this is the new norm. Like some games are still releasing at 30 FPS. So, that's like neither here or there though. But in reality, since we are selling us $500 consoles, we should definitely expect them to actually run at 4K, 60 FPS, or whatever. We're buying these fucking consoles for that. That's the way that I think about it. That other than that, it's just whatever. It's
Lick my ass.
Oh man. So I guess Nam, anything else that you want to talk about when it comes to patches, mods, performance, remaster?
I think the lighting looks kind of bad in some areas, but I also think it looks
Yes.
pretty good in some
Oh,
areas.
dude. Yeah, you did bring that up in the last time that we talked about. I think that the lighting is kind of funky here. It is. I was comparing it, and it is brighter overall than the original game.
It is.
And there's like this. There's this jail after you go to where is it? After you go to Ikebukuro, and you go and you fight whatever whoever you fight, and you go to the next area. There's like this like jail that you go to where everything is like
Yeah.
black and white or whatever. It's supposed,
Mannequins
yeah, yeah, with the
yeah.
mannequins are like in a jail or something. That scene is supposed to be scary, but because it's bright as hell, like it doesn't look scary to me. It's just kind of funky. Like you guys know what I'm talking about?
What really scares me are the mannequins' faces when you see them when you're like going to the shop and they're just looking at you with the most generic smile and going, "Hey there, a present for you."
Oh,
Heyo.
somebody's like, yeah, there's like start like twitching or something. They're ridiculous. They're like they're something between obscene looking and at the same time they look ridiculous as hell. Like they're both funny and terrifying.
I'm not going. I'm not gonna lie. That creeped me out the first time I saw it. I am not gonna lie.
The mannequins are supposed to be really funny, though.
But bro, it's like just so odd looking. Like it kind of creeped me out.
Are you
'cause-
talking about the collector mannequin?
yeah, and he's like, "Welcome, a present for you."
He looks so happy.
He does, but he's probably jacking it on the other side of that table that he's on.
Yeah. Yeah, the mannequins are like weird as hell. It's gotta be like one of the weirdest like creatures that you meet on any Megaten game. They're just bizarre as hell. I don't know. Okay, so actual impressions on the game, King. This is for you particularly, since you are the kind of the new one onto the series. What was your impression in overall, like in the game? Like I know you heard so many things about it. Everybody like told you probably the good things about Nocturne. You probably heard everything to hear about the game. But
Right.
what was your like impressions on the game? Like on your own like feeling. How do you feel about it?
So it's like everyone made Nocturne out to be like this really hard JRPG that's just like a slog to get through and everything. And everyone talks about like Matador, all these boss fights. Like Matador wasn't even hard. You just need to have a brain and learn the mechanics of the game, and you'll beat him. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Yes.
Exactly.
And don't put it on merciful. You're a bitch if you do that.
Ooh. No, for real though. There's this thing about merciful in this game that is it's a fucking joke. I'm sorry. Like I said it on another video that I did about like this discussing the difficulties, but merciful is just like it shouldn't even be a thing. Like because the whole thing is they already selling you DLC for XP and money. You know, so why would you sell that and they have Merciful for free that gives you
Listen.
more XP and money?
If you're wanting to get into not Persona, but Shin Megami Tensei, and you play Nocturne on Merciful, you're going to have a hell of a tough time with the other fucking games. I haven't played them myself, but I know Nocturne's probably up there with difficulty. Am I right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's that hard. I mean, like Digital Devil Saga's harder.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
has- but what I'm saying is that if you play this shit on Merciful right now, I don't know why you're even playing in the first place, because you're going to have a hell of a tough time with all the other games, probably. That's just my
Fucking
opinion.
play Strange Journey, you're gonna die.
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna say, like, if you play Nocturne on Merciful, you're not gonna enjoy your experience. I think because
Yeah.
you can just auto battle your whole playthrough. It's
Yeah.
60
There's a
hours.
difference.
Literally,
auto battle.
David, didn't you auto battle Matador? Was that right?
I did.
Like it's that like I know people were joking about like reviewer mode, and I was like, it's funny because I started a whole breakthrough just so I could talk about it in my review, and then I didn't write it into my review because I thought it was too shameful. I was like, ah, no, I'm not even gonna talk about it. But for real though, like, there's no shame in playing in any difficulty. I made a whole video about it, but yo, for
Hmm.
real, do not play on merciful. It's not even made to like actually like it's not balanced. It's not written into the story, into the gameplay, or anything like that. The whole
They
thing about. I'm sorry. Go ahead, David. I'll
Oh, I
continue
was just
listening.
about to quickly. I wanted to quickly mention, like, again, it's another proof that they didn't even want to put effort into an easy mode. Like Merciful, they just boosted like to 400% or something the damage that you do, the damage done, and they reduced to 400% the damage taken. That's all that they did. It's like can't even bother with keeping the balance of the original mode. I mean,
There's a difference
They
between
also
playing
increased
merciful on
XP
this.
and money.
Go ahead now. What
Go
was that,
ahead.
man?
There's like a lot. There's a lot of like insane changes. Like your hit rate and dodge rate is like increased in Merciful,
Insane.
like
Yeah.
by an insane amount. There's you get boosted experience, boosted money. You have a lower counter rate, but it's weird because in pre-release footage before the Japanese version came out,
Mhm.
Merciful mode wasn't as broken as it is now.
Right. This is American merciful. Like, these motherfuckers can't play RPGs. Let's give
There's a
it.
difference. There's
Like,
a difference
it's like
between
Uh,
playing this. There's a difference between playing this and playing a Persona 5 on easy.
Oh
To
yeah.
me, when I went into Persona 5, that was my first JRPG. I wanted the story, and this is a 100+ game that is extremely story driven. Now, I'm not saying Nocturne isn't story driven, but it has a lot less story elements than a Persona 5. I wanted to play Persona 5 for its story mostly, but I ended up loving the combat, but I had it on easy. If you're wanting to play Shin Megami Tensei, you're coming there for the gameplay mostly, not the story, I feel
Right.
like.
Well, one of the things that I feel like that is the whole thing about Shin Megami Tensei, especially if you go to the Amala network, is it's supposed to be a challenge. Like, it's not. I'm not saying like in like a thing. Like, the story is a challenge. Like, each skeleton that shows up along the way is literally a test of skill, because you're supposed to be the champion of a specific person. I'm not gonna. I was about to spoil a little bit. You're supposed to be the. Well, now that the title of the European release didn't already spoil it to people, but you're a champion, and you're being chosen, and literally every single skeleton that you fight is a test of skill. Like, that's literally the story of the thing. So going through Merciful, that completely defeats the purpose of that storyline. That's how I see it, at least. And I'm by no means like a elitist. Like, I don't care. I made a video about talking about you can play whatever difficulty you mean, but the way that the story was written on that aspect, it's made for that. Like, all of them are challenges, and not only that, but every single skeleton has like specific set of skills to test you on something else. For example, Matador, which we already talked about, and I know people focuses on like force and speed. That's his whole thing about it, agility, and it's really just to make sure that you're literally learning the way the mechanics works, whether it's buffs, debuffs, null attacks, or draining attacks. Like all these different things that you're supposed to know how to use, and it's really just that. It's not really about like, oh, don't play merciful because it's too easy. It's more like you're really gonna miss out on the experience of what the game is trying to do. That's how I feel about it. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
No, I'm pretty much the same. I agree with that. I don't even think that Nocturne's an incredibly hard game. It has like a pretty decent, like decently large learning curve. But once you understand how a lot of the stuff works, like just like the general combat mechanics, it's not incredibly hard.
Mhm. I mean, the fact that people can speed run this game in 20 hours should tell you that this game is not hard.
Um, Matador isn't hard. Now, Trumpeter can go die in a fucking lake.
A trumpeteer? Trumpeteer?
Hated that boss fight.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
oh
Oh,
my
man.
god.
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't hard. It's just the fact that he can insta kill you at any time if you happen to have like the smallest percentage of like health or something. And there was one point in the fight where he healed himself. All 11,000 points of HP went back into him. Bro, I was so pissed. It took me 5 times. I had much more trouble with Trumpeter than I ever did with Matador.
Come
Oh
on,
man,
good.
so some
You
people
know
are
what?
gonna have
You shut
issues.
the fuck up
I,
and
I,
lick my
I was
ass,
telling
It's like
I was
someone
telling
needs to
King
play unmerciful.
I was telling King, I was like, man, if you're having issues, wait until the final boss of the True Demon ending. That's gonna give you issues.
Y'all need to siphon the shit out of my asshole. Fuck you.
Um, but for real though, don't be afraid. Give the game a chance in any difficulty, whether it's normal or hard. I got blasted because some people were like, "Oh, hard is too hard." You know, like I was like, "But is it though? It's not unfair.
Please.
Not like Shin Megami Tensei 4. Shin Megami Tensei 4 in like the first in the Naruku hour, it feels unfair as fuck. I'm sorry, but this game is at no point does it feel like unfair. Like you just if you use the mechanics and you grind, you're good. Even in hard, like I know some people in the hour, I can already feel people in the comments like, but hard is too hard." It's not. I promise you guys. I beat it in hard for like this review, so you're gonna be okay. Like I promise you. I know there's some the fact that people already do these other additional challenges too hard should tell you that the game isn't that hard. What is that? I seen some very crazy challenges that people do to themselves. Have you guys seen those?
Yeah, I saw this. I saw this one kind of recently. It was like it was a run where the guy was not using any demons, and it was just
Oh
like
yeah.
one of his. It was like his first time playing the game, so he gave himself the handicap that he could play on normal. And
Wow.
Crazy, dude. First playthrough. Wow.
yeah, he didn't know much about the game. He knew most of it, but when he got to a certain point in the run, he pretty much did the rest blind. And the hardest boss is actually like not even one that's like super hard normally. It's one that's near the end of the game, and he couldn't. It took him like over 700 attempts to kill him.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like too much. I don't know. There's another one that is the Pokemon Nuzzle something. What is it?
Nuzlocke.
Yeah, what is basically whatever demon that you get in that area, that's the one that you get, and if they die, they get it, delete it or whatever. I mean
Sounds
that's
awful. I'd hate to do that.
I mean okay. I mean if you want to, there's so many areas in this game that's not really like a handicap. Personally, like this, like every like 5 minutes that you walk, there is not 5 minutes, like 5 seconds that you walk, you get a demon. There's so many areas in this game. It's not like Pokemon where like the areas are really well defined. Sometimes, and then there's so much going back and forth in this game, which is one thing that I do want to mention to a lot of the Persona fans. This game doesn't really play like a Persona game, although it does have some things that remind me of Persona 1 and 2 on the gameplay aspect. And oh my god, the music reminds me of Persona 4 at times.
So
Uh,
for
Persona 4, yeah.
Nocturne soundtrack.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Nocturne soundtrack.
Yeah, the Doctor soundtrack. There are some songs that
Yeah,
remind me of
like-
Persona 4. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Which
Yeah.
ones?
There
Bro,
is.
what?
Yeah. There's a song. The
Tell
guitar.
me why you did it.
There's one that reminds me so much of it. Not the combat songs, but the songs that you are in between when you go to a different area, a city, for example. There's, for example, the Ginza song reminds me of the not just reminds me. It sounds really similar to the song of the in Persona 5 Strikers. The song that they play for that was the AI girl, the girl joins you, Sophia. I'm literally gonna have to do a mix of those two songs. Like I really have to now. I'm gonna put that in my back burner, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do a mix between the two songs, but because a lot of the songs are he's Shoji Meguro, he has a style, and a lot of the things like really remind me of it. And it may not for you guys, but like the chords and a lot of the progressions of the guitar do sound a lot like Persona, which is not bad at all, by the way. Like I'm just saying, like it's just a thing that I thought about while I was playing.
Interesting.
There's this. I know that there's a song from SMT One that was remixed in Nocturne that was then remixed into Persona Five.
Yeah,
That's the Kijijoji song.
yeah, that's a legacy song though. Pretty much every Megaten game has a song. Um, but yeah, I don't know. On the Persona side, I do want to talk about that, and we're gonna bring King about this again. Would you recommend this to a Persona fan, King?
Oh yeah, as me coming in as a Persona fan, even with all the technical issues and everything with the game, 1000%, I think everyone should at least give it a shot. Whether you go into Persona for the story or anything, at its core, it's still a JRPG, and it still has that charm, certain charm to it. That I think not saying that it's lighthearted, but I think it's something. There's something in there for everybody.
Right,
I
right.
feel like, including Nocturne, and you at least need to give it a try. If people are saying that, no, I was intimidated even at first when I heard people say, "Oh, this game's really hard and everything," but I went into it with a brain and actually learned the game, and
Yeah,
it was actually really fun. So I recommend it to any Persona fan.
I think so too. I think that as long as one you're aware of what you're getting into, and no, I don't mean like in the harder perspective or like oh this game is harder than it. More like the be aware that this game is not a Persona and it's not meaning to be playing like a Persona game, particularly in the story aspect. This game has a really weird way to approach storytelling. Like the first like hour is like exposition and storytelling, but then you're out in the wild. It's like freaking they're just walking around like trying to find out what's going on. And literally it's supposed to be confusing because the main protagonist doesn't know what's going on. You just walk around from town to town trying to figure out the story. You meet characters, people, not necessarily humans, but you meet characters, and they all have like all these different things that they want to, reference to, and it's a really interesting game because to me it's like a mystery, and I really love mysteries, and the whole idea behind the game was kind of like trying to find out what's going on in the world. It sits well to me. I love that aspect of it. Just kind of like all the lore, like talking to random ghosts or like I don't know. Are those things ghosts? The blue blobs or are they
They're
demons?
souls.
What's that?
Yeah.
They're souls of people
They're souls.
who died in the
Yeah.
conception.
So ghosts really, right? Well, unless they aren't ghosts, they're actual ghosts.
But
I
I
always
wonder
go-
if
yeah.
Makoto Yuki was one of them.
Well, I mean, we do have Nix in here who is taking care of he's a bartender.
Dude, Nyx could like fucking choke me.
Nix can get it. Nix can get it any time of the day. She's like, oh my god, why didn't we keep this Nix design for the Persona 3 games? I bet you David would have been happier that way.
oh, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Narukami, since you really like Kawakami, what do you think about the new teacher, Mr. Cow?
She is no Kawakami. She does not have that. She does not have that step on me, please, mommy milkers energy.
You know what's really funny? While I was playing, this time that I was playing the game, and I see Izumu, or was Izumi? What is his name? Isamu. Isamu, yeah. All I could think about was like, motherfucker is freaking King Narukami 45. This guy over here like seeming for the teacher. Every time you see him, all he does is like, hey, have you talked to the teacher? Have you found the teacher? Every time that you talk to him over here, like, this motherfucker wants to smell her feet.
Bro, no. It's not that I won't smell Kawakami's feet. It's that I want her to run a marathon so I could lick her feet clean afterwards.
Awful. You're the worst.
No, for real though, I hated Isamu. Isamu? Is that his name? I keep calling him like I call him different things every time I see him. I don't really like him too much, but he cra-
Atlas has some great milfs. Atlas has some
he
fantastic milfs.
does. They do right. They know what they're doing when it comes to the milfs. They know what's up.
Chihiro Morimura from 13 Sentinels.
For
Thank
real.
you.
Oh, oof. 10 out of 10 right there. That's what you need.
Like,
If you need, if you need two reasons to play that game,
You got
you
this.
got it
right
right
there
there.
with Chihiro Morimura.
Right there. Yeah. But any one of you guys have anything else for Persona fans trying to get into this game?
It is not just. It's not like you and Yosuke are hanging out at Junes. It's definitely not. Just don't go in there expecting a lighthearted story.
Right. Like, I mean, you're gonna get a life story, but you're gonna get it in like a very different, archaic way. It's hard. It's hard to explain this game without spoiling things too, because the way it's like a I don't know how to explain it really. I want to use the Shrek analogy. It's like an onion. And you're still peeling off different layers of the game, and as you're moving forward there's like more to explore, more to see and everything. It's a really methodical game. It's not like Persona where the one thing that I do want to say though is um, when you're playing through the game and the game tells you one time, hey, go to this town, they're never going to repeat it for you again. So, so if you didn't catch it the first time that you're supposed to go to Ginza or whatever, you're gonna be walking around for 10 minutes, being like, "Motherfucker, where am I supposed to go?" And then you go like, "Oh yeah, they told me one time that I need to go to Ginza. I know Persona likes to repeat it. Oh, are we supposed to go where? Oh, we're supposed to go over here. Oh, did they say we're supposed to go over here? Yeah, we're supposed to go over here." And there's like big red letters that says go over here. And then you go to the map and there's like a big X that says go over here. None of that is here. I'm sorry, like
But that's one of the problems I have with the game, though. It's not that I can't fucking read. It's just that sometimes, I would have to put the game down after a while,
yeah.
and they would tell me somewhere to go, and I just wouldn't remember it like the next day because obviously I have a job, a lot goes on during the day, and I couldn't remember. I think me and David discussed it, some sort of like, a mission system or something that tells you go here. It doesn't have to tell you, oh, it's right here on the map, but go there. Because sometimes I just couldn't remember because I had put it down the day before.
Oh yeah, and I don't know. I can find it both incredibly frustrating and satisfying at the same time. Like, it's satisfying when I know what's going on. Like, they're like, "Oh, you're supposed to over here," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember them saying something like that before, or I remember like seeing it." Unfortunately, the map in this game is complete ass. So the map doesn't even
Not
help.
bad.
It-
It's better than 4, I would say.
Oh, 100%. I agree with you. But at least 4 reminds you of your quests.
Yeah,
You go to Burrows and press quest, and you can see that the quest is going on. This game does not do that. So if you didn't catch it the first time that they told you to go to Ginza, you're gonna be walking around for 10 minutes or an hour trying to find out where to go next. Because it happened to me.
I don't think it's that bad.
Somebody's playing guitar.
Not on my hand.
No, you're like, no, my head. Hey King, do you have a link to Kawakami's OnlyFans?
No, I run her OnlyFans as a private thing, and only I have access to it, so fuck off.
You say, oh man. All right. Well, I guess moving on to the next one, unless you guys have any final thoughts again on the Persona and getting people into the game. Any tips? Any advices?
If you enjoyed the battle system in Persona games, you're gonna fall in love with what's in Nocturne.
100%. And shout out to King. He did a video today about the press turn system. Definitely check out his video. He did a pretty good job of kind of like introducing it, which is one thing that I will say about the game. It does not give you any tutorials at all whatsoever. But King's video does a very good job as far as like exploring it and giving you an outlook of how it works and everything, unless you didn't already know. So check out his video. It's a pretty good video, and he's pretty fucking
Thank you.
hilarious actually.
Thank you. And I explained it in only a way that I could explain it. So thank you for the praise, Kiro.
Not a problem, not a problem. All right, so we're gonna move on from here into. Would you recommend this game to a newcomer? Like, if somebody just says, "Hey, I've never played a Persona or a Shin Megami Tensei game, but I heard about them from like Smash or whatever," would you recommend this game to somebody that is just starting?
Yeah, I
I mean,
would.
you gotta start somewhere. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's true. That's
to
true.
me, I don't know. Obviously, I haven't played SMT4 or anything. My girlfriend started it, and she says she's having problems with just the tutorial section on there. So even though it lays out, apparently SMT4 has like a hard beginning or something. I
It
feel
does.
like
Yeah.
right, which I don't understand. People say it's the most accessible game of the series. I'm not sure. I think Nocturne hit that. Matador is like the first big challenge that you get,
Right.
but
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think
right.
you will die until you get to Matador. At least the first time I played it, I didn't die until I got to him, and it's because I didn't know he was coming. Like, I just walked and he just like, "You got the candelabra," or it's like vibrating or something. I'm like, I don't even know what candelabra is, and he's just fighting Matador. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on right now, but yeah, that's the first time and the only time that I was like, oh man, I wish I was prepared, but there's like no preparation for it unless you already know he's coming. Um, Personally, I will say definitely check it out. Do not just think that this game is like a game not for you, whether it's from the difficulty side or like not being exactly a Persona game. This game is definitely good in a lot of aspects that it's really hard to explain without going into spoilers, because I do like the way that they approach like philosophy, like the way that they approach like reasons, if they call, it's a really philosophical game, and like I don't know, I'm like into Jewish. Like I don't know, like religion, I guess you say it, and I read some stuff, and I really like the way that they approach Jewish here religion. I guess if you're gonna call it like that, what would you call that? I don't know. I'm not a religion person, so I just call them like religions. But anyway, this game has like interesting stuff to like that. So if you're interested in religions, this game definitely touches in a lot of different aspects of religion, which is outside of like the Christian religion, I guess if you'll say it. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a good game. Don't be afraid of the challenge. Don't be afraid of the difficulty. It's not as bad as people say. It's really really
that,
fun.
that's really true. It's not that hard. It's as when you get the pressure and combat system, you get that you need to fuse demons a lot. You get you really need to use buffs and debuffs as much as possible. You're good. You're good. It's not that hard. It's just that sometimes people want to blast through a game without really thinking. Well, Nocturne makes you think. You have to think. But if you're sitting down, taking your time, and you're thinking, it's gonna work. It's not that hard. I mean, it's a meme. People are like, "Oh, it's super hard. It's super hard." It isn't. It's not that hard. By the way, King, you need to get good. I just beat Trumpeteer first try.
Fuck yourself, David.
King
Bro,
get good
I didn't know
2020.
what was coming, so I didn't
Nope.
understand. That's such
Yeah.
a bullshit boss fight.
No, well, you know the trick to killing him is having
Yeah.
a shitty demon on your team. That's the thing.
That's what I did 5 times.
Well, you suck.
Fuck you.
What was your party, by the way, King?
Huh?
What was your party?
Oh god, dude.
You don't remember?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I had to switch so many people before that fight. Just like I switched up my party so many times. So
Yeah, this game will really make you think and strategize who you have. I'll be honest with you guys. In any Persona game in hard mode, I never strategize for personas. I just make sure that I have one for each element. But this game really makes you think about like which personas are gonna be in your party, which I'm sorry, no, which personas. I'm sorry, which demons you wanna have in your party, which ones do what buffs, debuffs you need to use for this one, what drain null abilities do you need. Like, this game really makes you think about this kind of stuff that honestly in Persona, like, I just had all the girls because I wanted to see all the girls. Like, like there's no other reason for me like to have a particular like Like I just want to have them in the maid uniform. Like there's absolutely no other reason other than that. Like it's dumb, but like Mitsuru, I used to have Mitsuru on Persona 4 with the high cut armor, and then I had Yukari, who I fucking hated, but I still had it because I wanted her to have the maid uniform. Like there was no strategy behind it, and you can still beat the game. But this game, it really makes you kind of think about like what demons do what and what their weaknesses is, and whether it's worthwhile having a specific demon for a specific section, whether they outrun their their state. Some demons, even though you get attached to them over time, they won't evolve anymore. There's really no reason to have them anymore. And even if they're like higher level or something like that, sometimes you just have to think about what demons you want. Like that's something that you don't really need to think about in Persona. Like I'm not saying that it's brainless, but it's definitely an extra layer of like strategy that doesn't really go into like most people, for example, when they play Persona games, and I've seen comments like, "Oh, I like to play with Kanji because he hits higher," or Naoto has whatever. Like sure, those things are like they're pretty layered, but you don't really think about like their defenses, what their weaknesses are, and like like that's like an extra layer that you have to kind of think about that is not really there on Persona. But yeah, check it out. Definitely a good game for. I think it's a great game to begin for beginners. It doesn't have the Naraku section that SMT4 does, because that's to me that's like a a little bit harder to kind of combine people into. It's okay, you die 10 times. That's the way that the dungeon works. I don't know.
It's not the first boss that can one shot your whole party if it smirks.
Exactly. The smirk system isn't here, but in case there is like this other system that is pretty similar to that, it's just not as unforgiving. Similar Intensive 4 can be unforgiving if you're being dumb. Like, there'll be some times that I'm like chatting away on my streams, and I'm playing a game, and I did the wrong move, and I like my whole party is wiped out in one go. There is very few situations on this one that happens, which is why I feel that this one is a little more accessible for beginners.
I just want to say the only reason I never use Haru in Persona 5, 'cause she's my best girl. The only reason I didn't use her in Persona 5 because I didn't want her to hit anybody, because the only person she could hit is me.
uh,
Just wanted to say that.
Yeah, it's like in Persona, it's a lot easier to keep like your current like equipped personas more relevant for a much longer amount of time. While the one of the things you need to learn for mainline SMT is to not really get attached to your demons, because you're going to be
Right.
swapping them out like really often.
Yeah, like this is not like Pokemon where you can really carry your party over time. Because I've seen a lot of this, like the Dark Souls of Persona, the Dark Souls of Pokemon. I'm like, no.
I hate that shit. I
This-
fucking
this is-
hate that shit.
I know somebody commented this earlier, and I wanted to point it out, but it was like so long ago. By the way, drop guys your questions if you have any questions right now, so we can answer them later.
By
But
the
yeah,
way, Dark Souls is fucking trash.
no, it's not. What, bro?
Yes.
You're gonna fight me on this one? No, I love Dark Souls, but that's neither here nor there in what we're
Get
talking
that
about.
Dark Souls dick out of your mouth, Kuro. It's a trash game. Love you.
Not a trash game. Dark Souls Dark Souls is okay. Bloodborne is really good, and I really love Sekiro. That's my shit right there. I fucking love Sekiro.
I want to play those games so much, but the thing is that I don't have a lot of time for gaming.
Yeah.
Nocturne's enough for a challenge to me to overcome stuff. Those games are challenging just to be fucking challenging.
Well,
Nocturne isn't challenging to be challenging. You can take your time. There's certain bosses that are easier than others. They're overcomable. I think it's similar to what David said. I don't want to have to watch an enemy so much that when they raise their right arm, I have to like go left. I hate that shit.
Personally, I just think that it's just a matter of perspective. Like Bloodborne is or Dark Souls is the same way as like the SMT games. You just gotta learn the mechanics. Unfortunately, Bloodborne also needs you to have good reflexes as well. So it's not just a matter of getting good. I know people. It's like who's bringing Who's breeding? Heavy breeding. I don't know. Maybe I am. Maybe somebody is. I don't know. What was I going with all this?
How SMT and Dark Souls are both like mechanically where the challenge comes from, like the mechanics, but Dark Souls also requires you to have more motor skill than
Oh yeah, yeah,
SMT.
yeah. There's still like I know that the whole thing about Dark Souls is like get good, but in reality, like you also have to be able to have good reflexes. Like that's something that no RPG is gonna require you to. Sure, you need some quick thinking, but you need to be like, oh man, I need to dodge in like 0.2 seconds or I'm gonna die. You know, there's
Exactly.
none
I
of
think
that here.
I'm with King with what he said here, except I don't think the games are trash. They're just not for me necessarily. But what I think he means here is that like the Soulsborne's game, they need like physical skills, like what you just mentioned. You need reflexes. You need to be fast. All of that. You need practice. While in those RPGs, you just need to think. That's what you have to do. You have to take your time and think. And I really prefer taking my time and thinking than just trying to beat the boss for 30 times or something.
For sure. Although sometimes I had bosses where I do get stuck on, but look, there's absolutely no shame of looking up a guide or at least know what their weaknesses of the boss is. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you know what the weaknesses are, you're gonna be okay. I don't think it's shameful to look up a guide. What I think is shameful is to play on a merciful mode. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Uh,
You kind of spitting right there, Hero.
but yeah, no, for real. Don't be ashamed of it. Check it out. Learn the mechanics of the game and learn what weaknesses every boss has. Well, not every boss necessarily has weaknesses, so to speak. They do have things that they're like more susceptible to, like mind attacks and stuff like that, which is not a
Mhm.
thing that really works in Persona games. Because I know in Persona, when you try to get like Marine Karine, for example, which is a meme, to a boss, it's not gonna work. But if you use it at the right time on the right boss in this game, it may help you. You know, it's just makes sense. You know, it's a different situation, but knowing the weaknesses and strengths of the bosses is not shameful to look up in a guide or anything like that. If anything, it's just gonna help your ass in the long run. I mean, like I don't think people need to look at it like, oh man, I'm looking up a guide for a boss or something. Nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that. I don't.
that's what I did. The guy, I look up a guide just in case I get stuck. If I ever get stuck, I'll look to see because, like I said, I don't have a lot of time to game because job and life and all that. But if I get too stuck or if I don't know where to go, I'll look up a guide, no problem. I don't let that dictate what I'm doing at all times. I like to
Right,
explore and
exactly.
stuff.
One thing that bothers me about guides, and we can talk about this a little bit more, is the fact that some guys, because they're on like the 2005 or something like that, they're like, oh, you have to have this demon and this demon and this demon, and you have to do this and that. I'm like, there's a little bit of flexibility between knowing what the weaknesses are and actually like having to go get a specific demon because this guide says so. Look, you can have some pretty stupid parties and still beat a boss. You just gotta know exactly what the boss does and what attacks pattern they does and the weaknesses and strengths of that boss is. It's not necessarily about having a specific demon. In fact, one of the questions asked about fusions and fusing in SMT3. Look, now that SMT3 has a fusion system that allows you to select the skills, there shouldn't be any reason why you have any issues fusing anything ever. Because you can choose the skills that you want. Back on the PlayStation 2, fusing demons was a pain in the ass because you had to go back and forth. You had to go circle and then select them again, go down or go up, and then select X and then go back again to select what demons you want, and then go back until you get the correct skills because they were randomized. But this game particularly doesn't have that issue. You can select what skills you want, which is a Persona thing, right? Persona games do that.
Yes, they do. They do.
Yeah.
But I never really. This is going to sound like I'm fucking stupid, but I've never really 100% understood the way fusing works in like a Persona game. I've always had to like look up a guide to
Mm.
like fuse the right things to get like
Oh,
The
okay.
twins from Persona 5. The
Oh,
twins.
okay. So
When you did their social links, you have to get specific
right,
skills to
right.
perform.
Okay, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah. So to answer that question as easy as possible, because I'm not gonna be able to go into like details about it. Um, Persona games and Shin Megami Tensei games. So Shin Megami Tensei games have races, and Persona games have arcana. So certain arcana have specific skills attached to their family. Same with races. Every race has specific skills attached to that race. So in order for you to produce the correct skills that you want, you gotta look at the races that they produce. It's a mathematical thing where you know which skills go with what race. Some races, for example, don't mix well with other races. Same with arcana. Some arcana doesn't mix well with other arcana. So it's just knowing which arcana you're doing which what to know to get the correct thing. There are some people that are really fucking good. I see them on YouTube, and they have like these really beast personas or demons, and I'm like, yo, how do you even get that? And it's not like a thing where you just do 2 plus 2, you get 4 or whatever. It's like you gotta go from that level 2 pixie all the way up until this level 99 demon. Like they literally go through all these different demons until they get the correct one. It's not as simple as just going, oh well, I need this skill from this. There's like a whole inheritance system between the different demons, and there's some demons that have really unique skills that you can only get from specific ones. It's really specific. It's really hard just to say, well, just fuse this one on this one, and you'll get that. Because in reality, you have to go and fuse like 4 fusions ago and kind of go through the steps to kind of get the right skills on the right demon at the right time. And to me, it's a pain in the ass. I don't have time for that. But some people will spend hours figuring out which demons do what to get the correct combination of skills. It's insane to me. I don't have time for that, but I admire those who do. That's my understanding of that. Do you guys have anything to add on that?
I 100% have the time to do that.
Like I see that and I'm like I understand it, but like I just don't have the time to like sit down and I'm like, well, I really want a Pixie with Dekaja, and like he's going like it's reverse engineering a whole like skill set to kind of like get that skill in. I just don't have the time for all that. But Nam says he does. You actually do all that?
Oh yeah, I just can't help myself, to be honest, especially with like certain. I'm sorry if you hear the background noise, but it's like, especially with like my end game team, I just cannot help myself.
Nerd!
You want to have the best team.
Yeah, because like I just load up with like level 99 guys and just like make sure they have peers. Holy fuck, calm the fuck down, Dad. But, like,
Free bird!
Oh, so somebody was playing the guitar.
yeah, what's up?
It's okay though. I don't care. It's like it doesn't. I can barely hear it. If you're still there, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Nom,
Okay.
nom, I respect that you have time to learn that because I just can't, man. I mean, it's not-
I try to at least understand the basics for each of the ones I play. Like, I know how to do it really well in 3 and 4. They changed it in 5, and it's a lot worse in 5, in my opinion. Because you have to use, like, the treasure demons to, like,
Right.
rank up or rank down.
I like sort of learned how the treasure demons work. That's like the furthest I got with fusion and how it works, though. Because sometimes I would have like the twins would ask for like this persona, and I have an arcana just like the level above it, and I'll have to use one of the treasure demons to like go down and carry one of the skills. But it was just fusion's just really weird to me. I don't know if I'm just dumb or what, but I mean,
Nah,
it's something that I enjoy.
It's
but
complex.
There's a reason why there's, like, calculators online that just do it
Right,
for you.
exactly. Yeah.
and
There's
I
a re-
use those calculators sometimes, and I don't get what I want.
Yeah. That's because every iteration, Atlas is a fucking troll, and every single iteration has a separate like fusion system. Like Persona 3 and Persona 3 Fest don't have the same system. Persona 3 and Persona 3 Portable don't have the same system. Persona 4 and Persona 4 Golden don't have the same system. Persona 4 and Persona 4 Royal don't have this. Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal don't have the same system. Every single one of them have like specific changes that they did, and I'm like, why even change it? Like it's like it's already difficult enough for people to figure it out, and the fact that they just go on changing is kind of frustrating, especially when you're looking to get that one persona or that one demon that you need, and it's just it's like a little bit frustrating, I think.
What happened to the good old days where all you needed was a polymerization and 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons to get a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon?
I don't know, man, but I destroyed that twice, so
You still lost, bro.
I did. Oh man, I need to bring it back into the stream. We'll have to do it again.
So cool thing. I don't think he's announced it yet, but me and V-Sips are actually playing. There's a program called God, I think it's called Project Ignis EDO Pro,
Yeah.
and you can make any deck you want and face people online. So we gotta get on that, bro.
Oh yeah, I played before. They actually it's been out for like years. I used to play there for a while, but they take it down because of copyright things. They always take it down and it goes back up with a different URL. But it's really funny. Konami is like all over that shit. Like they want all that. They don't want people playing for free. So
Nah,
they
do you
go.
like Yu-Gi-Oh?
Oh, I used to play it a lot back in high school. I just don't have the time anymore. Also, I don't have anyone to play with physically because I can't stand playing it online. I always think it's rigged. I always do.
It's
No,
rigged,
no,
man.
come
It's
play with me,
rigged,
bro.
100%.
Come play with me, man. We'll have a good time.
Bro, yeah, get the Switch game. We've been playing there, right, King?
Oh yeah, dude.
I
Yeah.
actually do own the Switch game.
Oh,
So
you do
good.
really? Oh, they're fantastic.
David does too. Just so y'all know.
Oh, David does really?
Well, it's in the mail.
It's in the mail.
I'll have it
Oh
soon.
man,
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna
ordered it, but
we're gonna have to do a
I need-
Mega 10 tournament.
I
Yeah,
mean,
call
I
it-
need to play like a campaign or something before because I don't remember anything about Yu-Gi-Oh. So
You know what?
Yeah.
I had you still have to do it anyway because you have to unlock cards for the game.
Okay.
So you still have to go through like at least like one or two campaigns before you actually get through the.
But
to
it's so
everything.
much fun though, reliving all those moments and everything. But I think that's enough about Yu-Gi-Oh for now.
Really, I love how we just took a break from Mega 10 too.
All I'm saying is XYZs and synchros are fucking awful and I hate using them.
Dude, I love
Synchros?
XZs.
Okay. Synchros are fine. Exceeds are cheap as fuck. Whatever the next thing is on the newest Yu-Gi-Oh games, those are fucking bullshit.
Are you
The-
talking about links?
Yeah, the fucking links are bullshit as hell. Some of these motherfuckers in the computers.
I haven't use a link monster.
No, because it's not just that. Computer's fucking cheating. And like I have Necrobally, and you're not supposed to target the graveyard. And these fucking links are like doing all this bullshit, bringing things for graveyard. I'm like, the card says you don't target the graveyard, and these links are like bringing shit back and forth. And like next time I know they have like a 5,000 attack, and I'm here like, bro, you're not supposed to target the graveyard. This fucking game is rigged.
Sounds to me like someone needs to get good.
Yeah. Learn your monsters, Kiro.
Apparently.
Game on the
Believe-
computer.
Believe in the heart of the cards. That's all you got to do.
That's Yugi's thing. He's a cheater. That's what he is.
He literally cheated with his Millennium Puzzle. He literally willed his cards. Not even kidding. No cap.
I love how cars just don't do the same thing from like one episode to another episode. They just do something different.
What does Pot of Greed do?
I draw two cards with Pot of Greed, and the next thing you know, they flip it on the opponent's turn. It's like,
My favorite one is in the anime is Card of Sanctity when everyone gets to draw until they have 6 cards in their hands.
oh man, I love the anime because it's ridiculous as hell. But also, if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh player, they fucking cheat all the time. Like that episode with what's her name, the Harpy Lady girl. Yeah, where she's just like smelling the perfumes on her cards. I was like, what the fuck is
breaths
that
have
bullshit?
arrived.
What is that? Oh man.
That was Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged.
I really want to continue the conversation about Yu-Gi-Oh, especially talking about the original manga because it's fucking awesome.
Oh,
It
dude, it's super good. Yeah, it
I
is.
read the original manga and it was so fucking
It's,
good.
it's fucking
so
crazy
dark,
too.
man.
It's like it has
It's so
nothing to
fucking
do.
dark.
It has nothing to do with Yu-Gi-Oh, like the card game at all, too. But motherfuckers over here like betting their souls into like a fire. There's all these crazy scenarios that they build. Honestly, if Yu-Gi-Oh was that instead of the card game, it would still be as successful as it is. Because it was
My
crazy
favorite
and
thing
bizarre.
was when my favorite thing was like in like this first couple of chapters where the pharaoh literally like precision placed a lighter on this guy's hand while he's pouring a bottle
Right.
of vodka and everything.
Right,
And
that's
if
what I was
he
thinking
was
about.
like,
Yeah.
and if he moved his hand, he's like, "This Yugi set this motherfucker on fire." Like, my god.
Right. Do you know they actually animated that now?
Yeah, I never got a dub because
Season
of
0.
course. But it's like what I fucking love it, and then, like I really like the card game. I think it's great, and I understand why they swapped the focus to exclusively the card game in both the show and the manga after it was like super popular. But like, I really wish we got more like super dark games where you like bet your life, because there's this one where like it's a Rock'em Sock'em Robots knockoff, and it's like the loser gets their face like blown up into chunks.
Mhm.
It is so fucking cool.
David has no idea what we're talking about.
I
with all the
have
Yu-Gi-Oh
no
stuff.
idea.
Bro, I can't believe you didn't watch Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid, bro.
Yeah, I'm surprised they also kept that in the 4 Kids there. It's pretty violent.
Dude, 4 Kids is fucking wild, man. Remember the Yu-Gi-Oh anime in the 4 Kids version? I remember one of the first episodes. All of like Pegasus's flunkies come and try to kidnap Kaiba or get his deck or something, and they have guns with them. But in the 4 Kids version, you can't have guns. So instead of pointing a gun at them, they're literally just pointing at him with their fingers. Like, you're coming with us. Stop, or we'll shoot you with our invisible guns.
Oh yeah. No,
Okay,
Yu-Gi-Oh
but-
was crazy as hell.
Anyways, for SMT Nocturne, how much have you played?
We're talking about
Thank you.
what?
Is this a podcast about Nocturne? Is this not my anime podcast about Yu-Gi-Oh?
So,
needs to
Xenar,
happen.
how much of the game have you played? Like, have you finished it yet?
I'm close. I feel like I'm getting close. I'm about to get back to Obelisks again. Right now, I'm going through. I just finished the 3rd Kappa.
Okay.
You got a minute. You still got maybe like 5 to 10 hours, depending on how slow or fast.
Yeah, I'm like 40 hours in. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it really depends on.
I'm loving it though. I'm not looking forward to the fight at the end though. If I'm hearing what I'm hearing right about it.
Do you know which ending you're going to get? Or or
I'm trying to get the demon
the
ending.
true demon?
So
Okay, cool.
that's the one that you have to work the hardest for.
Yeah, I really want to get that.
And you know what? Nothing wrong with that. That's a great ending.
It is, yeah.
I'm talking about being from one that loves the chaos ending, but I do feel like that's really like the closest to what the intention of the endings are. But again, it wasn't in the original vanilla Nocturne, so it's up to debate at that point. Did you guys have anything pertaining to Nocturne that you guys wanted to discuss as far as like the game, the gameplay, story, anything?
So we were talking earlier about like recommending like strategies for first-time players, and something that was not brought up, and I really think it should have, was the passive skill Bright Might. That is a disgustingly overpowered skill, and can make a lot of the game easier if you know how to abuse it properly.
Did you say might?
Bright Might.
Oh, I haven't seen Bright
Right
Might
on-
yet. I have might.
Bright Might and Dark Might are, like, depending on the Kagetsuchi phase, can guarantee a critical hit off of a basic attack, which gives you an extra.
Right.
And it makes a lot of the bosses like way easier to manage if it's your first time playing through, because you just get extra turns.
What's the easiest way to get that?
So there's like an early game demon that has it, so just like make sure that every time you fuse, you just transfer it over.
Oh, okay.
Because
Do you remember which demon is that?
I don't quite remember. It might actually be like Jack Frost. It's like
Oh
before
wow,
It's
Magic.
okay.
really
Like a
early. Yeah,
before.
it's really
It's a
early on that
common
you get it.
demon.
Yeah, yeah. It's a common
Okay.
demon and you get it pretty early on. About after Ginza and before you get to the other area.
Yeah, you can actually get it
Okay.
before Matador.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. Okay. Well, we can jump into some tips because somebody they actually asked me that on the questions that I asked somebody to drop. So somebody asked beginner, middle, and end tips.
Um, Buffs and debuffs are the good old trick that you can use for any type of Megaton game. So yeah, you should probably use those from beginning to end. But swap Magatamas often.
Yes.
Don't be scared to swap them and collect them. That's also something that's important that is underutilized. But
Can I say something as a beginner?
Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah.
One of the biggest things, I never use items in Persona. I'm using items constantly. Do not be afraid to use your items.
Oh yeah. Don't wait until you're done with the game to use them.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll be like using items all the time. Yeah. This game is generous with items. There's
It
a
is.
chest everywhere. There's a
Dude,
so many chests. Oh, Lucky Find. Um, the I believe what is it? Not Pixie, but the next evolution after Pixie. She
Hi,
gets
High
Pixie.
Pixie.
Lucky Find early on. Yeah, hi Pixie. Keep it. It's a really useful thing to have. It doesn't have to be Pixie. Anybody in the party can have it. Even outside of your party, as long as somebody has it. One of your demons, Lucky Find is just like every 5 steps, you're like getting a new item. Like it's super helpful.
But yeah, don't be afraid to use items. That's like the number one thing for me because coming from Persona, I mean, I could just refill my health. You can only use items with your protagonist, by the way, which kind of blew my mind at first. But don't be afraid to use HP items. Now, the game doesn't give you many MP items, but just don't be afraid to use them.
Yep.
Yeah, again, if you have Lucky Find, you're
Oh,
not gonna have that issue.
I would say as well, that's a thing that we don't hear too often, but make use of the jewel shop to get mitamas because they're useful when you fuse demons to get this one specific skills that you need. Like for
Yeah,
those that
right,
don't
right.
know what that is, there's like a jewel shop that you can go to. You exchange jewels that you found around the world for mitamas, which are like demons with specific skills. You can fuse those mitamas with other demons, and with skill inheritance, they're now better than they ever did that than they ever were. So
Don't
utilize them.
even try, and don't even try to recruit Mitamas because they'll just flat out ignore you.
Yeah, they want, yeah, but do get them. They are useful. You get
Yep.
whenever you fight them, and the elementals also do something similar too, where they do boost a little bit of your skills as well, or level of skill. I don't remember which one is it, but it's also pretty useful. Personally, the thing that I will recommend you guys to do is read everything. And whenever you're walking around and some random blob of blue light is over there just hanging around, talk to them. They may help you.
Yeah.
They may really save your ass. Sometimes they may even save your time. Some, for example, you go talk to them and like, oh, don't go over there. It's close. Don't go over there and it's closed. They just told you that. I remember early on with the Nihil Alliance or whatever, you go and talk to the blue blob. It's like, oh, they're close, right? Oh, they're like, no, they're not letting everybody go. Sure, you can go over there and waste your time, but they're not gonna let you pass. So like, just listen to the blue ball of light that they did tell you that. Uh, does the game have skill cards like Persona? No, they do not. However, skill is in this game are like a lot easier to get through. Like, um, I think the game is more generous with skills over in Persona because you only get so many skills per demon. It takes a long time, but in this game, demons are expendable. They go out really fast. So every pretty much like every few levels up, they get a demon. I'm sorry, a skill, Unlike in Persona, which it takes like 4 or 5 levels before they get a new skill, in SMT it takes like 2 3 levels before they get a new one. So you get through them pretty fast, I think. Do you guys have anything on that?
I will say one thing that surprised me the most was how slow the demons level up compared to your main character. Because it's like you'll level up 3 or 4 levels and your demon will only level up 1. That's one of the reasons why these demons, you need to let them go after a while. They don't level up as easily. You need to go ahead, use them, use their skills, inherit them. So
That's right. Yeah, you gotta let them go. Let them
You
do
should
their thing.
probably.
You can always fuse them.
Mm-hmm.
just do what Frozen says and let it go, let it go.
Yep.
Let it go. Yeah, yeah. Don't get attached to your demons. Although, big tip, no spoiler. Keep the evolution that you have or the fusion that you have for high pixie or for pixie. Keep that evolution. The original pixie that you get on the hospital, keep that evolution, keep that fusion that you have. You will need it at the end. By the fifth Kalpa, it's a big surprise. So I don't want to spoil it, but keep her with you. She gets really fucking badass. Again, no spoilers, but really do. Any other tips that you guys want to say for beginners?
Not really
That's it.
tips, but is there something that I could talk about that's not related to like our experience of the game or anything?
Go ahead, go ahead.
I really fucking love Rido. Like, there's just something about his character. I've never played any of the Devil Summoner games, and I am just so intrigued with his character. I love everything from his menacing glances to all the moves that he does to Goto. Am I supposed to love him this much? Am I supposed to play the Devil Summoner games to understand what's going on? Am I just crazy?
No, definitely play them. They're really good. There's a reason why a
Right.
lot of people want them to get a remaster. These games are really fucking.
Like,
Rado's awesome.
yeah, I fucking love Rido, and he doesn't even talk, man, and I'm just like that hooked on his character. He's so fucking cool.
I have one small
Yeah,
tip
go ahead.
that's kind of dumb, but I want to say I do because it's important. Once you reach a certain city, there's a shop that allows you to buy light balls and float balls. Buy a ton and keep a ton on you at all times because you'll need them. That's important.
1000%. Yes.
Yes, get those. Also,
Especially light balls, like float balls, you can leave without them, but light balls, yeah, you need them.
I mean, float balls, you need them for the Kalpas.
Yeah,
Are those the
you
ones
do.
that cause like damage, like you don't take floor damage or something?
You don't take floor damage, exactly.
I need to get more of those.
Right, yeah, definitely get those because when you're on the Kalpas, you're gonna need them.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get your guys' opinions. Are the Kalpas too much of a grind for you guys? Would you
No.
rather just
Depends.
get another ending?
Oh
It
no, they're
dep-
fun to go through. I love them.
yeah, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're going for a neutral ending, don't fucking do the Kalpas. You don't need them. But if you wanna get one of the special like the true demon ending and so on, you do need the call pass. It's just depends on what you're looking to do. I personally my first playthrough, I only did the first Kalpa because I needed to, but I went straight shot to the neutral ending, and you don't need to do that. So, also know that don't waste your time and like go do all the Kalpas, because once you get to the fifth Kalpa, no spoilers, but it's gonna lock you into an ending if you go all the way to that storyline. So even if you did choices, even if you did things, that if you continue to this Kalpa to the Amala Network storyline, it will lock you into storyline no matter what your choices were before.
So
Um,
would you guys suggest doing all the Kalpas for a newcomer, or would you suggest them
I'll
skipping
say
that and then playing that again?
keep a save file because you more than likely are able to get two endings. One, the ending that you did through the story, and two, the ending that you're doing through the Kalpas. So you're at least you can get two endings with that same file.
You either do that or you casually go through them and don't aim for any specific ending. That's what I did in my first playthrough. Like I did the Kappas, you could say for nothing, but I still had fun to go to make my way through them. So for me, it was still worth it, even though I didn't get the ending.
Right. It just depends on what you're trying to do. If you're a
Yeah.
newcomer, my advice is the same time as David. Save a save file, if you want to get through a different ending and everything, but do it naturally. Answer the questions the way that you feel. If you agree with Chiaki, if you agree with Isamu, if you agree with somebody else, if you proceed to go through the Kalpas, there's six different endings. There's a lot of flexibility for you to be able to get what you want. It's just a matter of do what you want or you feel is right for you. Absolutely do not look up a guide to find a specific ending. That will ruin the ending for you and the experience, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. I always say that for any type of game with multiple endings, especially Megaton, since they're based on like, well, in this game it's reasons, but in other games it's like alignment. Just choose what you would choose in real life. Like if you were in that situation, what would you do? Like follow your mind and heart, and you'll. That's when you get the best experience. I think.
Yeah,
I, I
just do what
really
feels
want
right.
to. I really want to hear Non's opinions on the Kappas. What do you do for
Yeah,
them?
go
Do
ahead.
you usually go through them, or
I always do all of them. I think it's the best part of the game.
Yep.
Yeah,
'Cause-
it's an additional dungeon, guys, and that's why I mentioned you don't have to do them, but you also get many items. You get a lot of fucking XP. If you're trying to grind, don't fucking grind anywhere else. Like go to the Kalpas. They give you a lot of XP. That's the best way to grind too. All right. Anything else,
yeah.
you guys? Any questions? Any tips? Anything else?
absolutely loving my time with Nocturne? I hope for more
Yes.
remasters in the future. Digital Devil Saga, please, please, please.
Yes. Can we all agree Digital Devil Saga's next? I mean, Nocturne did well in Japan, and it's looking at the sales charts on Amazon and other retailers, it seems like it's doing super well in the West, even with all the controversy. So if they drop like DDS 1 and 2, similar type of port in the quality and content, and they put that on a cartridge and a disc for $60 or hopefully 50, it would do well.
If it
Hopefully.
was both games remastered in one package, I could see why that would be like $50, $60.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you guys. I definitely want them to do. I'm a fan of those games, so like I really want them to do it. If there's any Shin Megami Tensei game that makes sense, is those games. One, they're made on the same engine, so it makes sense. Like they're made on the same engine and everything. And then two, the storylines of those games are like fucking crazy. Like if you think
Mhm.
Demi Fiend just
Yeah.
being a demon is like crazy, try having like
Nah.
the whole world is a fucking demon. Like that's actually that's also one of the games that I feel like it will be also accessible, not accessible in like the accessible sense, but like it will make sense for Persona fans because all of your party members are both demons and people. Like
Yep.
they're all people from they're already friends of yours, so to speak, and so this is a group
So to
of
speak, yeah.
yeah, so to speak. I don't, I can't spoil anything, but there's a lot of plot twists and there's a lot of turns in this game. Honestly, this is one of the more bizarre Shin Megami Tensei games, but it's also
Yeah.
definitely a really unique experience. So, if
Yes.
there's one game
I,
to check out, if you haven't already, check it out. If you want to wait for the remaster,
yeah.
I really think it's coming too.
I want to say, well, real quick. I think, like King, you said, like you said you think the story in Nocturne's pretty good, but it's not necessarily as deep as you wanted it to be. I think DDS definitely fixes that. Like DDS has a bigger emphasis on story than
Oh yeah,
Nocturne, I would say.
my girlfriend puts
Story and
DDS's
interaction.
story. My girlfriend puts DDS's story on this like huge pedestal, and she tells me, I think you would if you already like Nocturne and you already love the story of the Persona series, this is the perfect game for you. So I really I want them to do a remaster, but I don't know if I'll be able to wait for a remaster. I want it now. So
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
real. Yeah, if you have PS3, you can buy them. They're $10. But
I've already
honestly,
got them.
it's such a fucking mindfuck. I love them so much. I'm sorry, like I'm going on a tangent about them, but check them out. They're really good games. They definitely need a remaster. Speaking of remaster, is there any game like Megaten Persona that you actually want a remaster for?
Persona 3.
Devil Survivor 1 and 2, please. Thank you. Bye.
David,
Okay.
that's a weird way of saying Persona 3.
What about
I wouldn't even play a PS3
David?
remaster, a P3 remaster.
David, what if they redid the gameplay if there was somewhere to like the Persona 5 Strikers?
Strikers. Uh, yeah.
Mm.
But I mean, I'm thinking in the business perspective too. Like Devil Survivor, you can sell that game to casuals. You can't sell Rido to casuals.
You're right. Yeah, even
Rhino's
with
fucking cool.
Yeah,
it's
it looks
cool,
cool,
but
but
the story is really niche. Like it already references a specific family on the Shin Megami Tensei timeline. So it's like a storyline about a specific family within the Shin Megami Tensei timeline. So it's like it's not a big over the top thing like any of the Shin Megami Tensei games about like gods and it is what it is, and it's hard to explain, but it's not on that same scale. Like it's not on that sphere, if you will. It does have more of a rooted thing. That's why I know I agree with David. It's not as simple as just kind of like, well, it's only the Shin Megami Tensei game. It's just like each one of them had like its own unique thing. Personally, I would like to see Shin Megami Tensei 4 and
yeah.
Strange Journey. Those games desperately
What?
need.
I was expecting 4 and 4 Apocalypse, but this man's like Strange Journey. Cool. Yeah,
What?
dude, I wish because I love first-person dungeon crawlers.
Oh, dude, I freaking love French Journey. I haven't done a video on it yet because I need footage for it. I need to replay the game, and I don't want to. That dungeon. Uh, what's the name of the dungeon? That
Sector
area.
E.
Uh,
It's Sector
yeah.
E. Isn't it?
Like I'm
It
not
would-
fucking doing that again. So I'm like, that's the only thing that is stopping me from doing a video on it. I'm like, I need footage for it, and I don't want to go and
Want to
record
hear?
it.
Want to hear a funny story about
Yeah,
that dungeon?
go ahead.
My first playthrough in Strange Journey, I was lost and I was like trying to find my way through this dungeon. I tried to find help online and I found this Reddit post. So I went onto the post, trying to find my way through the dungeon. And you know who commented on the person asking for help? LaRue did. And he was like, hey, get good. This dungeon is easy, you dickhead. I was
Oh,
like,
did
wow.
you really?
So I fucking suck, yeah. That's the real deal. I sent him that screenshot. That was like a screenshot from like 6 years ago or something. He literally told this person like, you need to get good. This dungeon is easy. I was like, bro, there's so many teleporters everywhere. It's like, oh man,
Yeah,
not easy.
That
Not easy.
dungeon was a fucking mess, and I don't know. I hate mazes. I think it's a giant mess of like you said they were teleporters. You go to this location. There's literally people doing maps on this shit. Like I don't know. Like it's definitely not as easy as the room makes it to be. Um,
Nah, but he played Strange Journey like I don't know how many times, but over 10 times
yeah,
probably. So
definitely. Yeah, at that point, What about you, Nam? Any SMT game?
I want 4 to be ported, but I'm not sure if they do that.
That's the thing
Oh.
I was going to bring up, Nam. It's like this is already a lackluster remaster that was put minimal effort into. They would actually have to put some effort into porting these 3DS games. Like if they want to do a Persona Q1 and Q2 collection or SMT 4 and even like the Devil Survivor games, they would have to put effort into that.
hmm I think the Persona Q games would be the easier to bring because of the type of game that it is, being a first-person dungeon crawler. I think that would be easier to make it work. Like you just add a small square for a mini map on screen, and you move around. It would work. While a game like SMT4, you'd have to redo the UI completely, like the battle UI and all of that. So I don't know, man. Again, just
I
like
agree.
you said, I think looking at the quality of Nocturne doesn't seem to me like they want to put much effort into ports of older mainline games. So I don't know.
It would be much easier for them to just say, "Hey, here's Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2 and Persona
Yes.
3 and Unity."
Right. Yeah, I agree. There's another game that I would like to see, and this is just a personal thing, but the Desu games, there was somewhere. I'm sorry, there were Survivor 1 and 2. But these games will have almost zero chance of getting into the Switch for the same reasons you guys mentioned. They will have to rework the entire fucking gameplay.
Yes. hmm
Like there's just no possibility of them doing that.
I think we'd get a remake before we ever got like ports of that, and I don't know how big I guess we'll figure out this year if Atlas is remaking a Persona game. There's all these things online saying remake Persona 3 and everything. I think they'll just remaster it. But I mean, only time will tell. Atlas hasn't. They've remade some games before. I don't know if you considered P1 and P2 PSP to be remakes.
No, they never actually officially remade a game. They remastered them and they ported a bunch of them, but there's no actual official remake of any game.
So I mean, I just don't see those happening. I can see
Yeah,
PS2 games being put into Unity, but I don't see any 3DS games or anything like that.
yeah. I don't know. It just depends on how easy. Like David said, if they do Persona Q, for example, it's not a big deal because the map is at the bottom. I mean, you can change that on the side. That's not a big deal. But Strange Journey, Shin Megami Tensei 4, and Apocalypse, the UI is made to have like
Well, Strange Journey could work because it's again a first-person dungeon crawler, and you could put the UI on the side of the screen, make it a bit smaller, and all it would work. But 4 Apocalypse, it's like, man, I can't really see it. It would require way too much work, in my opinion.
yeah. It just depends on how they approached it. Honestly, at this point, it's obvious that Atlas is not willing to put too much money into them, but they still want to have a high return. So, I don't think that we're gonna have a lot going on, but I'm definitely excited to see if they ever do anything like that.
I think they could go back to like 4 Apocalypse. That is after 5, and if 5 really, really exceeds their
Right.
expectations. Like
Exactly.
if 5 is like a 2 million plus sellers, then maybe they would do that. But if it's like what we think it's gonna be, and it's gonna be like around 1.2 million, I don't think they're gonna, even if it's gonna be a massive success and it's gonna be like over 4, which is the best selling mainline game, I don't think they're gonna put that much work. While if it is like a 2 million seller, then I think they might consider it. But even then, it's
It
low
depends.
probability. Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on how well it sells, what the reception for the game is, and if the Japanese market is gonna want something like that. Remember, guys, we're still in.
Yeah.
They're still looking at the Japanese market as the main market. Most of the Switch is the most successful console over there. It's not the PS4, unfortunately. So it just really depends to see whether the Switch is gonna be successful for that, and whether they want to make the money or whether they're gonna make money back into doing something like that. It just depends on what they see. I personally, like I said, although I really want them, it's just they don't want to put much effort into them, and you can tell with Nocturne. It's not. It's kind of a shame because this could have been like a true full-on remaster and everything, and it does feel kind of half done. Like a lot of the cutscenes being just original cutscenes and everything like that, and all of the issues and everything. That being said, it's still a good game. Definitely check it out. If you're interested in it and you're kind of hesitant on it, there's no reason to wait unless you want to wait on a price change. I think that the game is definitely on a drop on price within the next few months. I don't think that this game is gonna stay at full price, especially seeing how Persona 5 Strikers went down in price. Like it's $33 right now, so it's not a bad deal if you want to wait a few months. Uh,
Yep. I
yeah,
mean, I every time that I hear someone say like they don't want to pay 50, as much as I love Nocturne and as much as I was glad to pay, well, I paid 50 willingly because obviously we got codes. But I even if I didn't get a code, I would have bought it day one, and I would be happy to pay that. But whenever I hear someone say it's too expensive, can you really blame them? I don't
yeah,
think you
exactly.
can because
Exactly,
it's
and that's
pricey.
and that's the last thing that I said on my review. That literally the thing that I ended the video with is, if you have the money and you can spend it, go for it. But if you don't have the money, don't break yourself over it. Like it's gonna be a few months before this game goes down on price. It's totally fine. I even seen 13 Sentinels go all the way to down to $25. So, um, you can probably wait for a few months. This is a that's the one thing that I want to kind of hammer a little bit bigger. This is a remaster. This is a PlayStation 2 game. If you didn't play it for the last 15 years, you can wait for a few months for it to go down on sale. It's not a big deal. That's how I feel about it. Like I know there's a bit of a hype right now going on and everything. Don't let the hype drag you to buy the game if you are not able to afford it. It's fine to wait a little bit longer.
Yep.
Well, any other questions you guys have in the comments? If you guys want to drop them now, I'm gonna go through the questions that I have here. If you guys have anything else, you guys go ahead and discuss that while I pull the the questions here. Anything you guys have in mind? Whether it's the ports or the
Yeah, sure. Let me ask a quick question while you're looking at the ones that you already have. What's your favorite thing about Nocturne that isn't the combat system?
Puzzle Boy. No.
possible. Hey,
Uh,
it's fucking good. Okay, I love that game.
It is. It is really good.
it's so fucking hard.
It is hard. It is. I
Uh,
played Quirk on Game Boy when I was younger, so I got the hang of it when I was
That
younger.
doesn't have an undo button, does it?
yeah, I think I went all the way to level 15 without looking up a guide before I was like, I don't know what to do from here. I'm
That's
lost.
already pretty good, I would say.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what to do from here, and that was like the first time. The first time that I played it back in 2006 or 7, I was like, fuck it, I'm not doing this shit. Like, I was like, I played for like 2 3 hours, and I was like, I don't have enough time on my day to waste time on this. Um, but personally, to answer David's question, I think the best thing that I like is the reasons and the philosophy of the reasons and everything. It's different from the already really established, system of the law, neutral, chaos. So it was nice to have a different system, although they never really used it again. I really do like the philosophy behind like that and everything. Although I do feel like it's a little bit very stupid and kind of forceful. Like, hey, you want to join me? Yes, no. It's
Yeah.
I think it's very early if you don't know if that's a question for an ending.
exactly right. So it's kind of dumb in that sense. Like when you think about it, like your question is your classmate just randomly goes, "I figured out that my reason of being in this new world is to do this and that. Would you join me? Yes or no?" You're like, or maybe I think there's like a question where you can like think about it or something like that.
You can
But
press
other than
maybe
that,
for that.
there's no like real substance as far as like developing that further or like having a philosophical argument about it or anything. Which I feel like it should have been the way to go if you want to do like a true neutral ending. Which is not really even a neutral. Neutral here is basically no spoilers, but neutral is basically here going nope to everybody.
Pretty much.
So everybody that
You
asks
don't
you,
really
"Will you
have like
join
a
me?" You say
focus
no
and
to
a
everybody. That's the neutral ending.
yeah. You don't have a focus or a specific goal like
But
for an
yeah, I don't know.
apocalypse.
It's just kind of weird to me. It's kind of like a little bit more substance would have been the way to go. But it's still pretty cool. I still like that a lot. What about you, King? Anything that you like besides the gameplay?
So that's the music.
Yes.
Absolutely love the music. Love the soundtrack.
Fucking
Even though it's from LimeWire, I still love it.
like LimeWire. It's like it's not only from LimeWire. It's like glitchy music from LimeWire with the like
I'll never forget. LimeWire gave your computer AIDS. I saw my first porn off of LimeWire because I was wanting to download Yugi versus Merrick, and said it was a porn video.
oh man, those were the times. Also, shout out to X Woman who is not X Man.
Oh
I was
boy!
trying to download an X Men movie, and I downloaded X Woman. Well,
Oh
that
boy.
was that was not X Men.
Hey, you gonna send me that link though?
Well, if you have a LimeWire, still probably I can find it still.
No, I
Oh,
only
boy.
use Napster.
Oh man, those were the days. But yeah, the music's great. It's really really good. You can tell there's like so much that inspired Shoji Meguro about from to the Persona games in this one. Like this is early Shoji Meguro, so there's like a lot of like metal and everything, but you can still see like a lot of the stuff like I was mentioning with the guitars and certain riffs that he does that are really similar used in Persona 3 and 4 particularly. And I love that. I love hearing those sounds because I'm like, man, I really gotta do a mix of this and like Persona 4 because there's a lot of songs that have like similar riffs that I like.
Yeah.
All right, David, how,
Oh,
how about you, David? What about you?
music is definitely a good, solid answer to my question. I don't think enough people talk about the characters. There's not a lot of them, but the characters that we have are all super good. Like from the main characters to the side characters, like we talked about the
Yeah,
collector mannequin, we talked about even the demons, the fiends. They're like they all have their personality, and now
yeah,
more than ever because of voice acting. So, no, the characters I feel like they're being slept on here, but music definitely is a solid point for me here. I knew and was listening to. Can you still hear me?
yeah. I can still
Yeah.
hear you. Yeah, yeah. You
Okay,
broke
sorry
up there
about
for a
that. I
second.
had like a freeze here for a sec.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was just about to say like I was listening to the soundtrack even before I played Nocturne for the first time. So definitely a legendary soundtrack, man. Nothing less.
yeah. What about that? What's that? Mimi Fumi. What is his? What's his name? The
I think
the
that's his name. Mimi Fumi, the
yeah,
leader of the
the
mannequin.
leader of the
Mimi?
mannequin who is actually like.
Mimi.
Is that what it is?
I
Yeah,
think so.
Mimi.
Oh yeah, that's it. Kudo Mimi. Yeah,
he's,
that's it.
he's actually
The only mannequin
badass,
that's not fucking weird.
and he's actually a badass. Like I was like, what? The first time that you ever see him, and he takes off his hood, and he looks like a normal person. And I actually like his character. I think he's cool, and everything he does for them, I was like, yeah, right on. I dig it, definitely. Let's see, Nam. Anything from you?
Oh, it's 100% the world. I think the atmosphere in that game is so good.
Oh yeah, like
All right,
going to
question.
the wasteland of like the middle of nowhere and just seeing which is a different wasteland from SMT4 because they do feature that wasteland thing, but it's definitely for different reasonings, and you get told so much more from Nocturne as far as like what happened and everything, which is pretty cool. Go ahead. You said you have a question.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Nam. You know how you talked about the atmosphere and all of this world?
Yeah.
Now my question is Strange Journey or Nocturne for the world and atmosphere?
Alright, I'm gonna have to hand in my card because I haven't finished Strange Journey.
Strange journey.
well,
You
man,
call
well,
yourself a
Strange-
real SMT fan.
Strange journey.
No, I think Strange Journey, like for the as I agree with everything you just mentioned about Nocturne, but the atmosphere in Strange Journey is like they nailed it. It is perfect.
The
It
world
really
is also super good because
The
out of all the
is-
Mega 10 games, I feel like Nocturne has the most relatable one, the most relatable cast to us Americans or like at least from this continent versus any other of the Shin Megami Tensei games. But also like it feels like modern in like a weird sense because it's definitely an older game, but it's modern in like the way that it feels. Does that make sense to anybody?
Still it's kind of timeless still. There isn't
Yeah.
really anything that dates it.
Yeah, that's true.
And it does feel like it's like it could happen in any day in like real time in this world. Like it could be a thing. Like unlike other Shin Megami Tensei game, this one just feels like it's in a realistic sense. Although it's definitely not realistic. Like, but a lot of the aspects of it do make it feel like it's something that could happen at any time. Like, what if this massive black hole was there and all the scientists put their minds together to send this elite group of scientists and super soldiers to go and figure it out. It's a really fucking cool game, but it's like it's so off and bizarre at the same time because it feels like so off from like the other Mega 10 games, which is why I like Mega 10 because it's so weird. Every series is like so off and different from everything else. Like mainline games and like the DDS games or Desu, like they all feel like so unique to each other that none of them ever feel like a copy of each other. They all feel pretty different. Although I know a lot of people give shit to Persona, like in reality, like none of the Shin Megami Tensei games ever like match with each other. Like that's what I enter into conflict because I was making a video kind of recommending games to beginners or like people like that are starting to play into the Mega Ten games. And I'm like, I mean, technically they're all good games and they're all really like any of them could be accessible to any beginner. It just really depends what they are into and like what you want to approach. But it's a really hard it's a really hard broad question to look into. But anyway, anything on David's question because I thought it was really good.
If it's about Strange Journey, that game has very scary battle music. The normal battle theme of that game
Yeah.
is terrifying.
That's like a mix of like Skyrim and I don't know, like a Silent Hill soundtrack. Something.
The one
So
It's
boss music.
very unique. It is. Nocturne. You know how I mentioned that like Nocturne has great characters, but not a lot of them. Well, it's the same thing for Strange Journey. Like Zelenin and Jimenez are super
Jimenez
awesome
is
and
fucking
deep
10 out of
characters.
10. Yeah.
Yeah, and Nocturne's kind of the same thing in a way. They have like not a lot of characters, but all the characters that are there are very deep and
Oh yeah, yeah.
great overall.
Think about it. There's not a lot of humans, but there is a lot of demons. That's also one distinction to think about, because this is the after apocalypse thing. There's very few humans that survive, and pretty much all of them you meet, you know them already. It's really just like all the demons that you meet, and like the demons are basically now like in like a human sense. Like they go to bars and they go hang out and do their own thing. They're pretty much humanistic in like a sense. Uh, so it's really hard to like look at them as like actual demons. Just like, oh, they're bad because they're demons. There's like a lot more to it than just like demon bad, human good, kind of thing.
I
And
also appreciate that even though the game's pretty dark, it does have a sense of humor.
like a lot of sense, it's fucking hilarious. Also, I love the music for the collector of the what's the
drum shot
mannequins.
theme?
The
The drum
mannequins.
shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sound that's like it's funky as hell.
Dum, 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 dum. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. All right. So other question: exploration on dungeons, enemy presence, leveling system. Comparing Nocturne and Royal. So, how would you compare Nocturne to Royal as far as dungeons, enemy presence, leveling system?
We don't compare those two games.
It's pretty different.
Yeah, it's pretty different, right? Personally, I think if you're doing that, you're probably gonna have a hard time because even though Megaten and Persona have a turn-based RPG system, their approach to the system is very different. To me, I will say it's like going from Final Fantasy VII to Final Fantasy 13. Like there are like fairly different systems. There's like not that one is better than the other, but personally, I like Nocturnes because one, you know exactly the amount of turns that you have with having the press turn system in the corner, just kind of literally telling you, and two, the enemy can do everything that you do, whether it goes healing, buffs, debuffs, anything that the enemy does, you do as well. So there's the advantage and disadvantage. Persona, I feel like they always give you things like the baton system, which is kind of broken when you think about it, because the enemy doesn't do baton system. The enemy doesn't have certain things that you do, but Nocturne is pretty unforgiving if you're like thinking you're gonna be number one every time.
But that's just the power of friendship, Kiro.
Hey, you can be friends with your demons. They'll talk to you and give you candy and coins. And coins.
True.
Yeah, they'll give you like stuff like, hey, I found 50 mac in the floor. Here you go, bro.
But do you high five?
No, for real. I love the system. I just feel like if you're comparing them, you're probably gonna have a hard time.
I also I like both.
So
but
another one that we have, unless you guys have anything else on that. Do you guys have anything else
I
on
was about to say I like
on
both, but I
that
prefer the Western
combat
system.
system, leveling up system?
The dungeons are fun to go through. You don't have like useless puzzles that makes you feel like you have to think, but you don't really have to.
Right. Yeah, for sure. What about you, Nam? Do you have anything?
I like the press turn system more. I feel like people over exaggerate the difficulty of the puzzles in Nocturne.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
really think they're that hard at all.
Yeah.
Well, is there a hard puzzle in Nocturne? What's the hardest puzzle in Nocturne?
I don't know. I hear people talk about how like in like a sort of early game example, the assembly of Nihilo, that there's like a certain like rotating maze puzzle. I hear
That
people
wasn't that hard.
yeah,
I
Was there
guess. I
was
guess.
that a puzzle?
yeah,
Yeah.
like really frustrated at
Uh,
that part of cards. It's
When Nams was started talking about puzzles, I was like, Nocturne has puzzles.
yeah, that whole little
You know what's harder than the puzzles in Nocturne? Having fun playing Persona 3.
Oh,
Alright, I kind of agree with that, depending on which version we're talking about here.
yeah. It depends.
We
on the
we don't
version,
talk
you know.
about Persona 3 Portable because you can romance Ken. So we don't talk about it.
Uh, all right. So, highest quality meme in your opinion? I don't know what that. Strider, are you still there, bro? If you do, can you elaborate on what
Highest
the
quality
highest
meme?
quality meme?
Probably King Narukami 45.
Fuck you.
Uh,
Anyone saying SMT 5 2022? That's also a funny one.
David, you can lick my dick from the back.
There's this picture of the fiend with his eyes bulging out. I think that's really funny.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I have an emote of that actually in my family.
The one that I love is the one with that King posts sometimes on Twitter, where it's Narukami and there's like this space, and he looks like tired yet high as fuck. He looks both high and tired at the same time. You guys know what I'm
I
talking
Yeah. It looks like he's waking up or
Oh
something.
yeah, I use that like every morning when I wake up to
Right,
tell my
yeah.
Twitter followers good morning.
about? Yeah, exactly. I was like, that is so fucking relatable. I'm so fucking tired today.
I feel that in my soul.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Kiro, you go to bed at 4 a.m. and wake up at 6 a.m. So no wonder.
Dude, that's no joke. Like, I literally went to sleep at 3 and woke up at 5 to drop off my girlfriend. Then went back to sleep for an hour and then went to work at like 6:30. And,
Have you ever considered a sleep schedule, sir?
sir, I take stuff to sleep and it doesn't work. I take, what is this called?
Oh, welcome to my world.
Take melatonin, ashwanda. I drink like tea and all that shit, and it just doesn't work, man. I'm like, my
You know what
brain-
helps me put? Do you know what helps me put against sleep at night?
What
Alcohol.
alcohol? No, it doesn't.
I was about to say, no, you try to smoke a bit before going to bed.
Yeah,
That works.
that I mean that works sometimes. That doesn't
That's
always work.
That's illegal, David.
It depends on
not
what
where I
state
am.
you're in.
Oh, where I live.
I was like,
Hey,
like, that depends on where you're at, man. No, it's
we got
just,
a bunch of boomers running this fucking state of North Carolina, so
Oh.
well, don't we have a bunch of boomers like running the states anyway?
bro.
No, not for real though. I just have a hard time sleeping, man. And to me, it's like my thought process. Like I have such a good like ideas at night. Well, I hate it because I'm like in the middle of the night. I want to go to sleep. I'm like, well, what if I did this? And I'm like spending like 3 hours doing it on the computer. I'm like working on this stuff, and I'm like, man, what the hell? I need to go to sleep right now. I can't help it, man. I just don't work like that.
If I don't get at least 5 hours of sleep, I'm useless the next day.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a baby.
Oh, I'm like I'm 100% coherent and I still like work fine and everything. But sometimes I will randomly pass out like in the middle of the night or the middle of the day. Like sometimes like I take my lunch and I pass out while I'm eating my burger or something like that. But
I'm 27, but I live my life like I'm 67.
Imagine being old can't be me.
Nom, shut up.
now I'm over here like he's just cracking up. He's like waking up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
I'm only recently discovering that I'm younger than almost all the people in this fucking community.
You really are.
Are
You're
you?
just a
How old
wee
are
lad.
you, Nam? How old are you?
I just turned 22.
Oh yeah. Hey, you're not that young. Some of my viewers are like 10 or 11. I'm like, yo, what are you playing Persona? It's mature. Don't be playing that. Go play Devil Children's or something.
Yes.
Uh,
DC superhero girls, maybe.
these. Oh, dude, remember that stream? Oh,
Yeet.
oh. Now I do want to ask you guys before we kind of wrap things up here because I don't think we got a lot of questions anymore. Um, there's a bunch of events coming up soon. When, if we get anything, when do you expect personally to get some SMT5 news? Like, the King can go
Nintendo
last.
Direct. Nintendo
Nintendo
Direct
Direct. So,
E3.
so you think E3? You don't think we're gonna
So
get anything on?
that's the only place that it can be like Nintendo during the directs at E3. That's where it happens. That was either that or the Reason of Music concert, and they skipped the concert, so it's the direct now. And then I'm switching to 2022 if there's nothing at the direct.
I am inclined to agree, but I don't think it will get like a huge focus in that direct. It'll just get like a
It won't,
3 minute
yeah.
trailer or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Just
think
like
it's
the
just gonna be one of
20.
those like 2 minute trailers and move on to the next thing.
I expect exactly what we got in 2012 for SMT4 at E3. That was like
Yeah.
a 3 minutes trailer showing like the characters, a bit of the story, the gameplay, the exploration, and that was it. 3 minutes. That's all. And a date.
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
don't get anything, or if we don't get a date, or if we don't see gameplay, I'm worried.
Yeah, understandable. I think I agree with that. We already know that King doesn't expect anything for this year, so I'm not gonna ask him.
Well, it's not that I don't expect. I expect us to see E3 something at E3. It's just that the last thing you're going to see is a 2022 on there.
Okay, so now besides that event, because we do have that big event, we also have a ton of other little shit going on, like the Summer Fest or whatever, and then there's
The
the
what?
PC, the
what?
Summer Fest,
We can move on. Nothing important here.
and then there's this other the PC gaming show, whatever. So, did you guys actually expect anything on those two events? Because
Yes.
Sega's gonna be there. So, do you guys expect anything on those?
Nothing at Summer Games Fest. Maybe Lust Judgment footage, but nothing new. And PC Gamer Show, we get P3.
You think we're gonna get
David's
P3 at
favorite
gaming show?
game.
Honestly,
Yes.
I don't see why they will announce it when they have E3 and they're gonna be at E3.
PC
Because
Gamer Show with
P4G
kind
was
of
announced. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
yeah. It was.
they did that because E3 wasn't a thing that year.
I don't think so. I think it's because it's an emphasis on PC and they wanted to shadow drop it. Like PC Gamer Show is part of E3 in a way. It's right at the same time. It's on the same day and it's related to E3 in a way. So I think it's going to be a PC Gamer Show, especially since they got success last year with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I personally don't think a lot of people watch PC gaming. And this is legitimately because after P4G was announced, like the viewership dropped to the hell. So I don't personally think that they will drop it there if E3 is a thing this year. But again, like you
Which
guys
show
say,
do you think it's going to be if there's P3
well,
PC at E3?
well, Sega has their own show, right? They're gonna be at E3. That's
No, they're going to be at E3, but they're not going to have a show.
well, they have to have a show because there's no physical E3.
Well,
Everybody,
exactly. So they're
What
gonna
are
show
their
their
games
stuff, but during
displayed?
other. No, all the publishers that you have on the little spreadsheet that they sent, those publishers are gonna show stuff at the event. They don't all have their own show. Sega, they never have a conference themselves. It's been over 5, maybe
yeah,
even
no.
8 years since they had a show
Well,
themselves. They had physical booths, but this year's
right,
not
right.
going down.
But
So the
because of
names
that,
on the
they will
schedule.
yeah, they're gonna have to have something. Otherwise, they're
Yes,
not a
well, they're going to
partner.
have something at Microsoft's show and at Nintendo's show, but they're not going to have their own event. I would be really surprised if they do. If they do, that's awesome. We can expect big things, but I really don't think they're going to have their own
Well,
show.
I personally think if they weren't, they wouldn't be an advertised the way that they are. Uh,
Well,
just
yes,
based on previous
because
years, because in previous years they're not advertised as a partner to be there. We know they're there because they have a shop and they're selling or they're like giving shirts or whatever. But
Mhm.
but this year to me is different because they do have they are shown right next to the Square Enix and all this
Yeah.
other, like it's a
But they're
different
always on
way.
that. It's like all the publishers that have something for the show. That's literally
Yeah.
the one rule that they have to follow. So,
Mhm.
I mean, again, I would be glad to be wrong, but I expect like Square, just like 2019, Square Enix will have their show. Microsoft, Nintendo, Bethesda, if it's not with Microsoft for this year, and that's going to be it. The other ones are going to show like Bandai Namco. My God,
Bandai Namco.
Bandai Namco,
Yeah,
Capcom. Capcom will probably have their own thing. Square Enix
they do.
too, but
Yeah.
all the other ones, the smaller ones like Koch Media, for example,
Hmm.
they're not going to have a show. They're just going to show their games at other people's show, probably. But it's just assumption. We don't even have the schedule yet, so
Yeah,
we
it
still have to wait
depends.
and see.
I guess it remains to see. If we see Sega with the schedule, then I don't think we're gonna
That'd
get
be
any.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. If we do, that'll be fantastic. I don't know. It just depends on
Yeah.
how they approach things.
What
I
Sega.
you
wish,
smoking,
man.
Pharaoh?
Well, think.
What you smoking?
Well, no. Think about it. Sega was voted as the number one publisher of 2020. Like they do have much more of a ground that they have on previous years. It's not
But
just
did you?
Sega that is publishing shitty Sonic games and SMT games that nobody knows. Like this game, this year particularly, Sega is bigger than ever. Like that's just a fact. Like that's deep, regardless of
But
what.
but 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 Call of Duty was the biggest franchise years ago, and they were part of like the Microsoft show all the time. So
Yeah, because they get a fucking ton of money. But EA itself, they have their own show.
Which is not at E3, by the way.
No, it was until like 2 years
It
ago.
was, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because now they realize they don't have to pay anybody, and they can still have their show. Nobody fucking watches it anyway. They had like the
Yep.
last time that they had an E3 event, EA had like 30 minutes of this app game, and it's like, what the? Why are you showing this game, this phone game at E3? Like nobody's watching it for that. But yeah, I don't know. We're going on a tangent here. Well, since we're already talking about this, any developers you guys are looking at E3?
you just cut off there. Are you still
Oh,
there?
did you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Any developers at E3 that you guys are looking at?
Um, not really. I don't really care much about E3. I guess just like I usually watch the Sony show because they usually have new games announced.
Yeah, but
Because I
now
just like seeing them.
now that they're not there, it's kind of funny, right?
Yeah, I'm probably just gonna watch their crappy state of play. Like, oh,
I was like, what is going
Yikes.
on? How are they messing that up? I don't know. That's like a completely different rant that I can go into for like, say, I bought a fucking PS5 and he doesn't have any damn games. I love how like that's something that is really funny to me because people keep attacking like the PlayStation fans keep attacking the Xbox fan for like having no games, but in reality, if you think about it, Xbox has Xbox Game Pass with like a ton of fucking games, and like PlayStation 5 doesn't really have any. Like they had like 3 games so far come out, so to me
that's
that
exclusives. Microsoft. Oh man.
it's like to me it's just funny like exclusivity and like they're like I don't know how can anybody like take it so like personal. Like these are big companies, like I'm like I will never stick out my neck for like Nintendo or like PlayStation or Atlas or anybody. Like you'll make a mistake, I'm gonna call you out on it. I'm not gonna like stick out my neck and like
Yeah.
defend them and like but these people like they're like entire YouTube channels like talking about like the games, and I'm like, how are you? Why are you so dedicated about it? I find it funny. I really do. I really find it like interesting. I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel it, but maybe because we have multiple systems. Like I know most of us here. Do we all have a PlayStation 5?
I do.
I think we all do.
Right.
King
Yeah.
has one too,
And
so
and
we
you'll
all
also
do.
have the Switch as well. So like in that sense, like we don't really have like a like a I guess like a horse in the race as far as like, but I don't really even know like how you get to that aspect where your console has to be the best console. Like what makes your brain think like, man, my PlayStation 5 gotta beat the Xbox. Like, did you make it? Did you create it in the PlayStation 5?
It's
Like,
weird.
like
It's so weird.
like I don't know what takes you to that aspect to like really think about it that I don't know. All right, guys. Well, was there anything else you guys wanted to discuss? Are we good to go here?
I think I've got everything I wanted to really talk about out of
Alrighty.
the way.
Well, I do want to thank everybody for coming by. Everybody on the chat and everybody that just came by here. Thank you so much for coming by. King, thank you for coming. David, again, I know you had something earlier, but no worries about it. And Nam, again, thank you for coming by. Anything else? Any final words here?
Thanks everybody for coming.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for having me on again. That was great.
thanks for
Alrighty.
inviting me.
No problem. Well, thank you so much, guys. Get SMT5. I'm sorry, 2022, 2021.
That's
I don't know.
2021.
2021. All right. See you guys later. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.